What's up, nerds? PaulMConti here with Mr. Dakadez. We are here to discuss the upcoming second edition of Age of Sigmar. It is, well, not exactly the eve of AOS 2, but we have less than a week to go at this point before we can get this stuff in our hot hands, and
we're excited like little kids waiting for Santa.
I am definitely holding a book in front of my pants. So, we're also on the eve of the relaunch of the channel as Radio Free Hammer Hall, which is going to be exciting. I've been working basically since I got home tonight from work until now on getting a whole bunch of content queued up for the launch. So I've got some ideas. I've got an ambitious plan for one thing. Anyway, I'm planning on doing a weekly Math Hammer video, much like Vince does his weekly painting tutorials. So we're going to do a weekly Math Hammer.
Some filmed bat reps, which we experimented with this week.
And hot take on trying to film your bat reps. It is very important that the batteries are charged fully on your camera. We got to like turn 3 and realized it was off. Yeah.
But we do have a place to film it now. It'll be nice to go in there. We'll do some filming while they're closed, and really get some good stuff done, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if we're calling it necessarily a sponsorship or a partnership with our local game shop, the Battle Standard, but we've got some agreements we're working out with them. They're gonna let us have some access to their store outside of business hours to film battle reports and maybe give us access to some stuff a little early that they get in. I don't know.
I'm going to paint like the wind, so we have all sorts of new and different armies to play against.
Yep. And the nice thing is, like, their store looks like a studio.
Yeah, it's awesome. We couldn't ask for a better place.
Yeah, like genuinely, it looks like mini wargaming studio.
It does. It 100% does. Yep.
Yeah, except it has way more terrain and table options. They've got enough room for like 12 tables of AOS.
We could do easily 12 tables just based on what they have set up for tabletop gaming there. Plus, we have a bunch of tables we can. They have tables set up in the back. They have more tables we can bring down. I mean, we could really run some pretty huge events there, I think.
Yeah, but my point was going to be they have like 12 tables to play on. Yep. They have enough terrain for like more than twice that,
and they just did a GoFundMe to get even more terrain in.
Yeah, and they had like over $1,000 contributed, and they matched it.
Yep,
so they had like over 2 G's worth of new terrain that they bought.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna look pretty great, I think.
Yeah, I think we need to actually run a game on the Tatooine board. It would be nonsense. What realm is this in?
Fit right in to be a bunch of
stand, whatever.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So but we gave a spin through the second edition rules for a game.
Yep.
That we attempted to record for a battle report and failed miserably.
God, thank God we didn't live cast it too.
Yeah, we were thinking of doing it live, and oh man, would that have been silly? So I played my Nurgle. I played a Blight Cyst list, and you were running Skaven Scryer.
I was running a Scryer list. Yep. I did not have many models as usual.
But it turned into a lot very quickly.
It did turn into a lot very quickly. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, 33. I had 33 models, which is like a 30% increase from my usual Scryer list.
And I think over the course of the game, how many giant rats did you summon?
A lot. So I was looking through all the Skaven War Scrolls, and I thought, it'd be fun to try some summoning. And I came across the Vermin Lord Warpseer, whose command ability is he summons 3d6 giant rats per command point used. So I summoned a lot of bubble wrap, because that was always the one big weakness in my Scryer list, is that I had no bodies, and I definitely had bodies.
Yes.
I probably summoned 30 rats.
Yeah.
I had to do
I think just one of your rolls was 14, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Like it was bonkers.
Yep.
Like it was in multiple units, so it was just a really effective bubble wrap. And in different scenarios, it would have just been like guys to go hold objectives, and like, I mean, giant rats explode when you touch them, but it doesn't matter if nobody's touching them. Like they're gonna focus all of their attention on your
the 9 storm fiends running around, or the
9 storm fiends in your face are going to be the thing that you're going to be concerned about. Yep. So those giant rats holding an objective are kind of secondary to the problem at hand.
I think that's just I think that's gonna be my favorite new unit from the whole Skaven army. Just awesome, very fun.
Yeah, you need to actually like either get the model or paint it as well.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna have to convert one, because I don't like any of the Vermin Lord models except for the Forge World one, which
probably like a bazillion pounds.
Yeah.
It's all good though. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the Nurgle summoning. We also didn't like play out a full 5 turns, but like I was only able to summon like 1 unit of drones. So I thought that was a little bit like, I mean, it helped.
It did. It made me nervous, and I killed them fast.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Changed my plans too. I had different plans, and I had to murder them very fast.
Yeah. So, the thing that I realized like after the game was that we basically like we rolled up a realm to play on, and we like reviewed like the realm rules and the realm command and all of that stuff. The only thing about the realm that we remembered the entire time was that it was the realm of light, and it made all of chaos -1 bravery. So like both of us were just like debuffed on bravery the whole game, and that's the only part of that we remembered.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good point to mention is there's a lot more to remember now. They've had a lot more complexity to the game that we have to keep track of, which is fine by me. I mean, we have seven realms to think about. All special rules, and then if you're mixing in all the endless spells and the effects of that, all the different artifacts, all the new spell lores, it's I think on the front end of it, when it releases, it's going to be a lot of stuff to keep track of.
Yeah.
I think that's why we're finding so much crazy shit.
Yeah, there's so much in it that, there's a lot of leaks if you go around the internet. I'm not I'm personally not gonna stick my neck out and share leaks publicly.
No.
I will tell you, if you try, risk, throw your computer condom on and go venture into 4chan and try and not get computer aids, you might be able to find basically all of the new General's Handbook there somewhere. And it has been compiled and shared with me. So I've seen a lot of the new points.
Something
I haven't seen a lot of the new allegiance abilities, though.
We should mention that we were using all of the new leaked points differences, as well as all the core rules stuff, all the new malignant sorcery stuff, all the new realms. It was cool. It's going to make for for match play. I think it's going to make for some holistic combos that hopefully will get tamed down really fast. But for narrative play, God, it's going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be awesome for narrative play.
Yeah, the realms I think are going to, like, what realm you play in, and the realm spell lores and realm commands and all that stuff. I think that's going to really be relegated to narrative play, because it's so it is a lot of information, and it's very swingy as to like who it's good for and who it's bad for.
And we still don't know, as far as I know, maybe I've missed some reading somewhere, if all of this stuff is going to even make it into match play.
Well,
it seems like the endless spells all have points cost values, so that means they're in. Are we going to use all the realm spells? Are we going to use all the realm artifacts in match play? Is all that making it into match play, or is it is that all optional?
Yeah, I think the question is, like, we flipped through the new core book, right? I know I flipped through when I was looking for stuff. I know you looked at it more extensively than I did with the store copy that we were able to look at.
I got a baby.
The artifacts are not in that book.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're in the Malignant Sorcery book.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then that's super weird. Then, like, what category does that fit into?
That's exactly what I put. Maybe I should have differentiated exactly, like, when I shared all that information, where they were from. All those artifacts are from the Malignant Sorcery book. But if the endless spells all have points values for match play,
and they're all in that book,
and spells weigh in as well.
And the Malign Sorcery book comes in the box with all of the endless spells, correct?
What's up? Yes, it does. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to order that.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the core book, the GHB, and the box of the endless spells.
I think I'm going to have to do the exact same order, and I have to save some of my money for the new Goblin book that'll come out soon, and hopefully they give some battalions and other fun stuff.
Why do we have this conspiracy theory that there's a Goblin book coming?
Malign Portents.
The Portents have told you.
Yes. Well, if you kind of look at the Malign Portents and the Shadespire releases, they all correspond with major Age of Sigmar releases, right?
True.
So that's why I conspire to think that there's going to be a Bad Moons or a overall Grot release soon.
Yeah, it could be very interesting. And the other one is
the Chaos, the Dark Oath.
The Chaos, Dark Oath, which, like, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that, because I don't know what that's going to be. Because, like, right now it's sitting in Slaves to Darkness, but I feel like they're going to put them in their own faction.
Yeah, I think
so.
Or
they're sitting nowhere at all.
It's going to be like Dispossessed. Like, okay, we're going to keep them around, but really, like, you're in the basement classes. You know, you're not up on these levels.
Yeah, I mean, the who is it? The Rune Lord, the guy that has Unbind at +2.
Yep.
Think he's going to be on the table a lot.
Yeah, I think you'll see him in a lot of dispossessed lists or
I mean, a lot of Fire Slayer and KO lists allied in.
Probably in Fire Slayer, probably in KO, unless people that are playing Karajan Overlords adapt to that and start thinking, you know what, maybe I'll repaint a little bit and make them Barak Nar so I can get, 18 dispels a turn or so. We'll see. Then you don't have to take that allies.
Yeah. I mean, that's that there I feel like there has been, with KO in particular, like a lot of people are like freaking out.
They're standing on the edge of the roof with their Kharadron Kleenex and no entrance sphere. Yep.
Yeah. And they're and some people are standing there with their lighter fluid in a box of matches.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, first of all, I don't think the sky is falling for KO at all. And I would encourage people to read the other 4 or 4 to 5
Baraks. Read the
Baraks that nobody's been running.
That's what I did. I mean, I saw all these people like, the sky is falling, nothing, it's not going to be the same. Read the book again.
Yeah,
keep points
all of it, not just read the parts you like.
Right. Read the whole thing again. Think about the points changes that have been leaked, and think about the fact that we're going to get War Scrolls changes. It's bound to happen. We're going to have, they even said in the General's Handbook, in the back, tons of War Scroll changes. The KO are going to get a ton of them. Even their cards are, that I bought, that a lot of people bought, are done. The War Scrolls that are in the book are FAQ'd out of, they don't match up any longer. And I think we're going to see a lot more War Scroll changes than that. So I think people are standing on that edge without their entrance sphere and should back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the thing that people are not noticing as a major signal that there's going to be a lot of War Scroll changes is that they're changing the format of all the War Scrolls.
They look much better.
They do. Now, does it make any sense in the world to change the format of War Scrolls for new releases and not retcon all the old ones?
Exactly.
Like, you want to open stuff up in your app and have it all look uniform.
Yep.
So at very least, they're touching all the War Scrolls to change formats.
I think they'll get rid of the ones where you have to wear a hood if you're a Night Goblin and snicker things under your breath to use abilities. I think all that stuff was a cute idea that nobody liked.
It's all gone already. Like compendium stuff.
Are they going to redo all that and give new abilities? And
yeah,
like I mentioned earlier to you, I think it's going to be fun to see new Moonclane War Scrolls. I think we're going to see some fun stuff like stealing of command abilities. Love to see that.
Yeah. What I will say is they overtly said something in one of the videos at some point.
Yep.
About, oh yeah, you may even be able to steal command points from your opponent.
And that's Goblins or Skaven for sure.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I have read every leak I can get my hands on, and I have not seen anything yet that says steal a command point from your opponent. So that's either something that's like in an allegiance ability that got changed, that it just hasn't been leaked anywhere yet, or it's in a book that hasn't been released yet.
Yep.
And that sounds like a goblin ability.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing that goblins would do.
Goblins,
the thing that Skaven would do.
100%. I think it's a little bit. It's funny, and I put your tinfoil hats on, but I think Games Workshop, as usual, is controlling the flow of what's released because there's so many points values we haven't seen, and besides the core rulebook, we haven't seen anything out of Legion's abilities. Not a single leak on that. We had all these points at once, and then it's been radio silence.
Yeah, I think it's really bizarre that we have like half of the points changes, or half of the points in the General's Handbook, but we have like none of the allegiance abilities.
Yep.
We don't have anything else out of the General's Handbook. Just a handful of points changes.
I can't tell you how many times I dive into that wretched hive of scum and villainy to find new allegiance leaks, and there's nothing there. And everybody has these General's Handbooks that are leaking this information out, but it's specific stuff that's not being leaked out, which I think, do you think it's going to cross over into what's going to be pre-orders? Or stuff they don't want to leak too early that's going to be pre-orders?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just know that like the first thing I am turning to when I get my hands on the new General's Handbook is reading through all of the allegiance abilities.
That's the first thing I'll do too, yep.
Because I think that is going to be that's what's going to really be moving heaven and earth.
Yep.
In the game going forward.
Yeah, I mean, points are all right, and it's definitely a factor, but I think any changes to those allegiance abilities is what's going to be, or the battalions is what's going to be the key.
Yes. I mean, I'll say that I saw a lot of the points for Stormcast, and like Vanguard Wing went down to 140.
Which is a big signal.
Which just tells me that Vanguard Wing does not do what it currently does. Like, it's getting changed, obviously, because, like, I mean, people would still run that thing as it's currently printed at, like, 340.
Yep.
So I don't see how it goes to 140 from 220, and everybody's like, yeah, same thing.
That's great.
Yeah. Oh, extra points so I can run a second Castellan and Vandus in my list.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can fit another battalion and make it a 2-drop. No problem.
Well, I mean, you could already run
I guess.
You could already run the Mega Battalion that works with that one in 1-drop the list. That's what I ran at Du Bois last year.
What was it? What were you running there? The Vanguard Wing, and was it I don't remember the other battalion you were running. It's vicious.
The Mega Battalion for that it just requires one more unit of prosecutors, and it lets your prosecutors basically move 2d6 in the charge phase. Oh no, move 3d6 in the charge phase and not end within a half inch of your opponent.
Yeah, it was the Tempest Lords, and it was vicious.
Yeah. Yep. The only downside was you were down like a quarter of your list to battalions.
Yep.
But
that was an added value besides the drops, command points.
Yeah. So here's another interesting tidbit that I thought about, right? That now we have, like, we know that you get a battalion or a command point with each battalion. You get an artifact with each battalion, and we have artifacts that give you command points.
which we played with the other day, which worked very well for you. Yep.
Yes. Well, it worked very well for me until all of my guys with until all of my heroes died.
I wonder why that happened.
Did not do anything. It would have nothing to do with the scenario objectives having to do with heroes standing on objectives and you killing all my guys with warp fire. Had nothing at all to do with that. But like the Ether Quartz Brooch, like getting your command points back on a 5-up when you use them is, man, that sounds unexciting on paper, but when you actually roll that and like
when you're Paul and you like successfully roll that every time, it's awesome.
Yep. That is how that works.
Yep.
I think it is very good. But the point that I was getting at was that we're leading in a direction where we can almost evaluate how many points an artifact is worth and like back that out of a battalion cost and figure out what a battalion really costs.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at the Veritant, who definitely comes with the Gryph-hound now, and he's been assessed 60 points, was it? Because he gets a free Gryph-hound? Which is awesome, because if you stick the Lord Veritant, and he gets his free Gryph-hound with Warning Cry,
Yep.
and then you put a Lord Ordinatus down there, and then you surround them with 4 Celestar Ballistas, and then maybe put another unit of Gryph-hounds as bubble wrap.
Yeah. Can we just take a quick pause for thing that I think the greater community is not aware of yet? That you're no longer allowed to run solo Gryph-hounds in match play?
Yeah, exactly.
It's 6 now?
6, yep.
And they're what, like 140 points?
Yeah, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, considering like it was outrageously overpriced to get 1 for 40 before, considering like what hot garbage it was, like other than the Warning Cry ability, like you were paying 40 points for Warning Cry and a guy that absorbed 3 wounds.
Yep. Could run fast and escape combats and clean objectives. Not saying I've won tournaments with that, but I have.
All I'm saying is I have run a Stormcast list down 40 points. I could have put a Gryph-hound in. I thought that the what do you call it? The Triumph was actually more valuable.
Oh, poor Gryph-hound. I thought he was awesome for because he like the Thunderers could in the combat phase be like, you know what, I'm out of here. I know I charged you, and I get to go first. What I'm going to do is I'm stopping you getting to my objective, and now I'm going back to my objective, and you're kind of like stuck around here, away from my objective, not getting those points was invaluable.
Yep. The interesting thing, though, about running a unit of 6 Gryph-hounds is that you can kind of like conga line with them and bubble wrap with them.
Yep.
So that their Warning Cry is like a much bigger AoE.
Right. And if you have the Lord Veritant, now you're stacking them.
Yep. And the Castellan, I think, comes with one too.
The Warning Cry? Oh, yeah. The Lord Castellan does not, per the War Scroll as it currently is, just the Lord Veritant.
Oh, that's right. It came in the kit, but it didn't actually.
Right.
It wasn't actually on the scroll. Way to flavor, Miss GW.
Oh, my God. AOS Coach. What's up, AOS Coach? Just pointed out, which is actually something that's been in the back of my head. I've been wanting to research into my other research, like I'm in college again, but it's just Age of Sigmar, is the Excelsior War Priest also comes with one.
Yes, he does.
And heals.
Yep.
You could triple stack that. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, I would love to see the Warrior Priest and the Excelsior War Priest get like other prayers that they could take.
I wonder if they can
take other prayers.
I'm just looking it up now to see if it's got a see what its keywords are and all that other good stuff.
I've looked it up. It doesn't work.
Oh.
I tried. I've been down that path.
All right. Boo.
Yeah, I know. You know what would be great is if they made the Celestial keyword matter. It's like a random flavorful keyword that's on a whole bunch of Order War scrolls that is not referenced in rules anywhere. I feel like that's just like this broken link in the rules.
Uh,
Like this thing that they thought they were going to do something with and then never did.
I think they did a lot of that with the release. And now they're like, oh my God, what do we do with the Skycutter UPS? I don't know.
There are a lot of hanging Chads throughout us. And like, I think that some of it was like, when they first launched the game, I think they didn't plan, like they didn't envision where it was going to be now.
Right.
They're left with a bunch of junk that was flavorful when they first launched the game, and like left them with opportunity to grow things. And instead of having the opportunity to grow things, it ended up leaving things to die on the vine.
Yeah, they kneecap themselves. But I think they are. I have this feeling, and that's another one of my frustrations with the lack of leaks with the General's Handbook. I think they are going to address that. I feel like we're going to get like things with a Dwarden or an Elves keyword are going to be able to use the same like allegiance abilities and stuff, like
Yeah,
the Sky Cutters and I don't know, whatever other elves are out there. White Lions can combine without any.
yeah. Like the one that doesn't make any sense to me is why Ironweld Arsenal exists.
Yeah, I think they are thinking about going in a direction with that, and it's changed to like cogsmiths or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those factions that doesn't make any sense to exist.
Yep.
Like it remaining, like if all that artillery had stayed with dispossessed and free people, it would make perfect sense in terms of the fluff.
Well, I
Like,
think the problem is nobody talked to Phil Kelly.
Yep,
I think that's a problem.
I agree. That was a problem. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And for God's sake, of like the kits they decided to keep, why did they keep the dwarf cannon but not the Empire cannon? Like the dwarf cannon is such an ugly model. Empire cannon looks like a cannon.
Well, they had to throw the Dwarden or dwarfs or whatever a little bone because they had pretty much destroyed most of the range.
Yep.
So what do you think? This is the other thing that I keep thinking about is, what do you think they're going to do with war machines? You think they'll finally like combine the stupid crew profiles with the war machine itself, so that like when you play a free people, I'm not just going to kill your crew, which is super easy, and just ignore the war machine?
You know what? I can't tell you in general. It is just sort of an aside to that, but like the number of times that I have just completely misplayed the cycle of corruption and like forgotten that I can just rain mortal wounds on people. Like I definitely had a game at Triumph that I could have at least performed a bit better in. I mean, I lost the game big, but like it was a Vanguard wing that had like 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries and a Lord Ordinator like backing it up, and like it wasn't until like turn 4 I think that I was like, oh yeah, I can just kill the crew.
That's the first thing I think about, and I think that's what a lot of people think about that are playing like the Free Guild or Dispossessed or whatever. Still, not Skaven because we have the best artillery. Are thinking about crew. Skaven don't care about the crew. They never have.
Yep.
So I think it'd be cool if they had a merge profile. That's what I'm saying.
And the ballista does have a merge profile.
It does. And that, yes, that comes full circle to my point. The ballista has a merge profile.
Yeah. And I think it's likely. I think we're either going to get merged profiles or they're going to get points drops. Yeah. And I haven't seen like the Ironweld Arsenal points. I don't know if you have. But like with so many things that can just pick off your shit at long range, like a crude ward machine is worthless.
You know what's crazy is like I was looking through all the Skaven War scrolls again. I'm like, they have 26-inch range to a lot of their spells, which is
Yep. They have a lot of, yes, I will hit you in your deployment zone on top of one.
They have a lot of like, what do I do in this situation? That's how I screw you over. Okay, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Like the Scry Orb, like that lets my my Vermin Lord I forget the name of them.
Yeah. You know what I think is going to be interesting is I think a lot of the endless spells may actually make certain armies more viable than they were before.
And
it gives them like that whatever little buff they needed to not suck.
Moonclaim. 80-point shamans. You can get 6 of them easily. So shaman number 1 eats a mushroom, gets +2 to cast, throws down the gate. Shamans number 2, 3, 4, and 5 has more endless spells. Maybe one of them puts the Foot of Gork through. Or the Bad Moon spell, sorry. Shaman number 6 dispels the gate so nobody casts any other bullshit back through.
Yep. I think I think the value of the Celestial Hurricanum goes way up without endless spells. Because it's a caster, it's a wizard.
Yep.
It has a universal +1 to cast. So and it's still 380, I believe. So it allies into your free guild. And how badly do free guild need their shit buffed? Pretty badly.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it might make things work for free guild. Like, I really want to make free guild work. And I really hate the design that has been more successful, like the mega company with like 60 handgunners and 40 guard and 3 griffins and nothing else.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that list design. Not a fan of having that many models on the board.
Because it takes 6 hours.
Yeah, like there's a serious problem in AOS with stuff that takes too much time.
Yep.
And like I was finding that playing the list that I did at Triumph, like I had just like too many rolls. Like all of my attacks with my Blight Kings had the exploding hits on 6s, and each unit of them throws so many attacks that you're rolling a bunch of those.
Yep.
And then they have their 5-up ward save from the Harbinger. And like, if I was on top of that running a list with more than 30 models, I would have just been taking all day.
Yep.
And I think that, like, I have heard some people suggest like the chess clock idea. And Kings of War has actually a lot of Kings of War tournaments have implemented the chess clock. I'm like, this doesn't work for AOS. There's too much interaction on your opponent's turn.
Yep. Which is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, like Kings of War, you might as well just like, oh, it's your turn. I'm gonna go out to lunch. Roll my saves for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, Kings of War is boring to me. not to go off on a tangent, but the amount of complexity in AOS now just makes that game look like a joke.
Like, they like more than brought it to the next level for sure.
Yeah, I think like the core rules are still only 18 pages, and like half of that is pictures.
Yep.
But like the fact that each unit is totally unique. Like there's literally no two units in Age of Sigmar that are identical.
Yep, it's true.
And there's certain abilities that are like similar, or like, you know, artifacts that get copied across more than one set of allegiance abilities, command abilities that get copied, but like overall, like they're like everything is generally really unique. And there's just like information overload. What's funny is that I've seen people that like the naysayers of AOS that have been like down on it from the beginning.
Yeah.
They originally were like, "Oh, this game is way too simple. There's no tactics, blah 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 blah." Like,
played enough.
and now like I've circled around back to some of those people. And now it's like, yeah, we've taken a second look at AOS, and now it's just like overwhelmingly complicated. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the demos I have to do next week, and I'm like, oh my God.
I think you have to think of the modular design of the game and do intro games that only include certain components.
That's exactly it, or else I'm going to be in a world of trouble. Yep.
Yes. Like game one, you don't get a command or a command trait. You don't get an artifact. Maybe don't even use your battle trait.
Yep.
Like maybe just like no allegiance abilities at all. No battalions.
Here's the cool part: we're in the realm of
war scrolls,
fire, and there's meteors. You got to pick a realm, I think, and two simple starting armies, and just have them go at it. Maybe give each a command ability, because I think people are going to look for that. Like, what's that little flavor that sets my hero, aka the general, apart from everybody else? But yeah, I'm going to have to really cut down a lot when I do those demos. I think I'm going to be busy as hell Saturday.
Yeah, that's there's gonna be so much reading to do.
Yeah, I've been trying to do it all. And paint. I have to paint the entire Stormcast side.
How did you get roped into that?
Volunteered. Not very smart.
Yeah, yeah. You need to learn the skill of negotiation. Volunteer for things in exchange for other things.
Yeah. I'm a fast painter. It'll go all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's Stormcast.
Yep.
Paint them gold, highlight up the shoulder pads and the loincloths, and you're good.
Yep.
I've been pondering some ideas with my own Stormcast, and I think I may go onto a third paint scheme for them. Because I think I might want to actually paint them in the same color scheme as my free guild, because I've been thinking a lot about mixing the two. Like a mixed order army with Stormcast and free guild and Ironweld Arsenal and Collegiate Arcane.
Well, the ones I've started for the store, and you can't really see it yet, but I've gone for a Knights Templar sort of scheme, and that's the start.
Oh, you got one of the butt plugs.
Yes, I do. That's the start anyway, and I've just got the base paint down on this one. The other ones have a bunch of base paint down too. There are a lot of gaps in these models. They are press fit, but there's gaps. I think most of my time has gone to filling gaps.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I wanted to look perfect.
Yeah.
I believe I finished my beer already.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I just used the old gloss varnish trick to fill in all the seams, and it'll be all right.
Yeah. Because liquid green stuff definitely does not do that.
It's awful.
It is not as advertised.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts that you had from actual game experience playing second edition rules?
It was fun when there was a big group around us. And do you remember when we rolled priority and we tied?
Yeah.
And I was like, I went first in the last round, so I guess I get to go first again.
Yeah.
And that was a fun way to see that new rule come to light.
Yeah.
I needed first turn a lot.
Yes, you did. And the whole game, we played out like I think we went 4 turns. No, we went the full 5, and
we go for 5, yeah.
And we alternated turns the whole time.
Yep.
Nobody got a double turn in 4 priority rolls. So, I mean, new priority rule seems to work.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I liked it. We accidentally it was definitely like our own intro game to second edition. Like I accidentally caught myself out on the new coherency rule and had a guy die in the battle shock phase because he was out of coherency because I removed models incorrectly.
Yeah.
I think people are going to get screwed over a lot by that for 6 months.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. We'll go to the boys and dominate based on that alone.
Yeah. Monitor your coherency and you'll be good. Yeah, using the command points was really good.
It was super cool. I really do hope that we can use all the different realm artifacts, because the 5+ gaining that command point back was awesome. I did it on my first roll. You did it every roll. It was cool.
Well, I mean, it was great, and then I got all of those command points, and then all my heroes died, so I couldn't use them.
It's not like I was trying to kill them for the mission.
Yeah, I realized too, like the Lord of Plagues, suddenly his command ability makes so much more sense.
I forget what it is off the top of my head. I did look again, but I forgot off the top of my head.
You roll 7d6 and you do a mortal wound to something for every 6.
And he heals too, right?
No, you also it doesn't heal him, but then he has another ability that you roll a d6 at the end of the combat phase, add it to the number of damage that he did. If it's over 7, you gain a contagion point. So I feel like he's he was one of those heroes that I always kind of liked him in general. And then I realized that I can late game when I don't have another thing to do, I can sink command points into him for a shooting attack that does mortal wounds. And I'm like that you can do nothing about.
You mean the Lord of Blights? The Lord of Blights has the shooting attack.
No, the Lord of Plagues, his command ability is a shooting attack. You just pick a model within 14 inches.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Yep.
Roll 76.
Now the 6 is a mortal wound. First plus. Yep.
Yeah. I would have never known that he was any good at all if we did not play Path to Glory. I took him as my general just because I thought the model was cool. And I didn't want to run anything. I didn't want to run the Lord of Blights because he was terrible and wasn't going to do anything. I didn't want to run the Harbinger because I thought it was going to be overpowered, and I didn't want to be a jerk.
Yep.
And I didn't want to run Afflictions because I didn't think that he was going to be good enough. Like, he was going to be like, he only let you have 3 followers. I didn't want to run a Great Unclean one. So I was basically like out of options. I was like, okay, I guess it's Lord of Plagues. He's a cool model. I'll run that. I'm like, wait, all my Blight Kings within 7 inches reroll ones to hit?
Yeah.
And his command ability is just a shooting attack? Maybe this guy is really good after all.
Yep.
So now he's like the new thing I'm trying to squeeze into every list.
That's why I killed him first.
Yep. Yeah. And he's an awesome looking model that was like originally really disappointing that he seemed to have shitty rules. And now it seems like he has awesome rules.
Yeah. I bought him just because I thought it was cool. I still have him in package somewhere.
Yeah.
He's a really cool model. Yep.
Yeah. So I think also the from that tournament that we did, the Path to Glory event that we did, I got the what is it, the Fungoid Cave Shaman?
Yep.
I think I'm going to convert him into another Poxbringer. If you like replace the Squig with a
Nurgling,
like a Nurgling, give him like not even a whole head swap, just like a face swap off of like one of the guys out of the Blight King kit, because there's so many extra bits in the Blight Kings. And then just do like a weapon swap so that he has like a Nurgly weapon instead of like the Moon Sickle.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden he looks. You could even just run him as like a Rotbringer sorcerer. Who, by the way, like how has nobody noticed that with like the endless spells, the Rotbringer sorcerer is actually kind of a boss? Like, if you like stick him next to a spell portal, he's just dumping a flat 3 mortal wounds out of the other side on a 5. And if you put him on a Balewind, then it has a 13-inch range out of the other end of the portal.
Oh, just straight.
Yep. His spell is just casting value 5, 3 mortal wounds. It's only 7 inches, but
through the portal.
Through the portal, it's whatever you want it to be. And put him on a Balewind, and it's +6. Because the Balewind, if you stack the ability of the Balewind and the spell portal, it becomes an extra 6 inches away from the opposite end of the spell portal.
Are you sure that
that's how that works?
That's crazy.
I think a lot of like Nurgle's magic I thought was really like, I've struggled with it because it has the flavorful 14-inch range, right? Like all the multiples of 7, and 21 is just like too long for most things. So a lot of the good spells, like they'll go off on a 7 and be 14 inches. But suddenly if you have a spell portal, that's all really good.
Yeah. Curse of the Bad Moon. Better.
I'm just excited to go like Great Unclean 1, stab himself with the Bile Blade for +1 to cast, throw up the spell portal, cast Favored Poxes through the portal, and then drop my Blight Kings on the other side of the board next to the thing that got favored poxes, and just wrecking ball through them with 10 Blight Kings.
I would not like that.
Yeah.
I'll throw giant rats in your way, though.
I mean, I think Blight Kings can just look at them and they run away, right?
Oh, yeah, they have no save. Yeah, I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about like crazy ass Listerine build. I'm like, ooh, I could take 4 of those, 3d6 rats a turn. Could really fill a board up.
Yeah. I mean, how many command points do you want to spend?
Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah.
And like, it's not like Skaven are short on good command abilities.
Yeah. That would be the trick. I'd love to see Tretch come back, because that really, like, I was looking at my Storm Vermin again.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, Tretch was the key with the -2 rend and the double damage and a 6. He was the key to make Storm Vermin crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see something like that come back, but we'll never see it.
Did he go Compendium?
Yeah, he's Compendium now, yeah.
Which means probably Legends soon.
Yeah. So if we let Dan Kinney get away with all of his Compendium stuff, then I'll want to get away with mine. And you'll want to get away with yours with the Free Guild.
I mean, I have to use scrolls that don't exist anymore to really have fun.
Are we making a mess by doing that, or I don't know? Like, he was asking me, like, can we do that? Can we do count tiles? Can we go back in time? And I'm like, I really want to. I want everybody to play like the fun stuff that they have, but
I think the answer is play the fun stuff that you have to get new players hooked in, and just be like, listen, we're not going to let you do this forever. This is going to be to help you segue into the game, let you build up your new army that you're working on, and then once you can field your new army, then you've got to put the compendium stuff back on the shelf.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I'm just like, can I count tiles? I'm like, oh well, put some good
count size depends on what it is.
Yeah, put some good.
If you've got a ton of Slayers and you want to run them as Fire Slayers of some type, I don't have a problem with that.
But he wants to put Bolt Throwers down and count them as the Celestial Ballistia. The new Stormcast artillery. That's a little tough. I'm like, you convert them, you might get away with it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, just playing for fun, you'll probably get away with it. But show up to a tournament, people are going to call bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a hard conversation with the TO about that at a tournament.
Yeah.
But I think if you can convert up an army that is thematically like the right thing, like it makes sense, you can create the right story behind your army, can do good conversions, do a good paint job to make it all tie together and work. I'm kind of like a do whatever.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Looking at comments.
Yep.
I definitely do not have that window up right now. So I apologize to our viewers that are here with us live, because I'm ignoring you. And this is my second double gin and tonic that I'm working on. So, yeah.
What I'm having tonight is one of my favorite beers of all time. It's a Lefties Brewery, Dean's Brew Imperial Stout with coffee added. It is freaking delicious and 10.5 ABV.
Oh my.
It'll put you under the table before you know it. So Bob Jones mentioned Plague Wind, which is actually something I flipped to real quick. So Plague Wind and the Spell Portal first turn, it's going to lay down a line. So let's see. Let's take a closer look to how that works. So Plague Wind has a casting value of 7. Pretty easy if you stab yourself. It's a 6.
Yeah,
Like you get it off.
that's exactly. I was thinking about Plague Wind too.
Yeah.
I feel like you could really screw over your opponent with Plague Wind on turn 1,
especially on the first turn. If you can lay down that line, and then if you throw the pendulum down too.
Yeah, you can also then position the out end of the portal in the right way. It's going to take some careful measuring and lining things up, but then you just Plague Wind, and you could probably hit like half their army with it.
And then if you're considering my favorite, the Thricefold Befoulment, it's 3d3 mortal wounds per unit hit.
That's really mean.
I like it.
But then you have Rodigus.
Yep.
Potentially raining mortal wounds on like everybody.
Yeah, so Rodigus again through the spell portal.
Plus the wheel, what is it? Rampant Disease, I think. Does the D3 units get D3 mortal wounds?
Yep.
Which I'm beginning to think is like the most useful thing on that wheel.
Yeah. And this is before you move.
Yeah.
Before you move anything. So this could really up the value. I mean, maybe it's worth not taking like something like the Glotkin to up your attack value and focus more on spell value with the Endless Portal.
Mm-hmm.
And
what you need to do is find a way to get all of your, get Rodigus +1 to cast somehow.
And he is a monster, so you can't throw on him. But still, 7 terrain. So you get lucky, get mystical. You're gonna throw down Rodigus and red and mystical. And that's gonna discern your deployment. It's possible. I guess that's
yeah, I mean, if you're playing the game the quote unquote proper way, you roll up all the terrain and then you divide the table. Decide which side each player is on.
So you pick terrain. Yep.
Yeah. So I definitely had a game at Triumph. It was my last game. I was playing against Deepkin. And we both sort of realized at the same time, oh yeah, we're supposed to decide which side of the table we're on when we roll off for deployment. And we were using terrain rules, and I looked at what we had rolled for terrain, and there was a piece of arcane terrain in one of the deployment zones.
You went
had to go there.
Yep.
And you know what? That made all the difference, because suddenly Festus was casting Curse of the Leper on a 6. Now that's a reasonable number.
Did he make it more of a value too than he was before? I know you didn't find him very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Festus is not as good as he could be, and he's not always that essential. It's bad when his MVP play of the game was an Arcane Bolt. Yeah.
Which is sad now. A sad, sad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I think Arcane Bolt got powered down too much.
Maybe too much. It went off fine for me in our game, but I rolled an 11, I think.
Yeah.
The one time I cast it, I was like, yes, an 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think doing the D3 on a 9 is a little high. Maybe on like 8, maybe 7.
Yeah.
And cast on a 5.
Maybe even a 10. I don't know. But AOS coach says that wait till I bring you a proper Aussie beer next year, assuming you both come to Adepticon. Are you coming to Adepticon this year?
I believe he is.
If he is, we're going.
Yeah, that might have to happen.
I'll tell my wife. We'll both get in trouble. We'll go.
Yeah.
It's not that bad of a road trip, actually. I was looking it up. His answer is hell yeah. All right, so we're going to Adepticon this year.
It's like right outside of Chicago, right?
Yeah, it's 12-hour drive, maybe. It's through cornfields. It's boring as hell. I've done it. It's terrible.
I drove to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it was like 12 hours.
I've driven everywhere. It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind driving. So, like the drive like that kind of far, I think it would, my guess it would be like 14 hours from here.
It probably is like 14 hours after we get stuck in traffic and everything else. But
yeah.
I 100% want to go to Adepticon. And I think if AOS coach is making the trip from Australia, we can do this.
Yeah, we would have to make it happen.
We're gonna have to be really nice to our wives. So.
Yeah. But the upside for me is that my wife has been interviewing for new positions that would be a significant pay increase. So I may be getting a sugar mama soon, and I will be able to easily afford Adepticon, and then we'll be good.
I remember when my wife was the sugar mama and I was going to school. She's turned the tables on me. Yeah, he's 100% going, and he'll bring the beer, and I think that's it. That's our goal.
Yeah, I think that kind of lays down the line.
Yep.
Then we just need to get Ryan to come up too.
Yeah, if he can come from Australia, we can drive 14 hours to go.
And Michael, get like the whole like YouTube Australia crew.
Yep.
All to come up, and they can experience, the world right side up for a change. And
Ryan will be excited to know that he is at the start of Route 66.
Yeah. The very beginning.
Yep. I've always wanted to go, and if we drive, it's not going to be that bad. The cornfields just suck. It's terrible after all those, but I mean, we could. The way we are, we're going to talk the whole way, and we're going to be like, oh shit, we're here.
Yeah. Driving to Cincinnati, I was going to say, like, the part that I actually really enjoyed was driving through like Western Pennsylvania and like the little bit of West Virginia that I went through, like gorgeous, like winding highways and tunnels and bridges. And like, it was a really nice drive. I did it by myself. And I think I was listening to like Howard Stern like the whole way.
Yeah, all that driving I've done from here to Canada, all the way down to there, everywhere else was with like 8 other people on tour with bands. Like, yeah, that was my experience driving all that. And we drove from the border of Canada to Cleveland, I think, and I was behind the wheel the whole time. It was a long drive. So we're in a van with the trailer on the back, and it took forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even like just going up to Du Bois is like a pretty long trip. That was like almost 6 hours. You're coming to that one this year, right?
Du Bois?
Du Bois?
Boys, yeah. All right, and I was like, Du Bois, Idaho, what? Yeah, Du Bois, I'm 100% planning on. Adepticon, I'm gonna work that into.
When is Adepticon? It's in like March, right?
It's in April usually.
April.
Yep. So I think it's gonna be pretty easy. Du Bois is in November, Adepticon in April. I can work that out.
Yeah. And then Crossroads is in there somewhere too.
I think that's while I'm gonna be away.
Yeah. But Crossroads, I've heard, is also like mainly a Kings of War tournament, and the Age of Sigmar GT is like a side event.
Yeah, like there was like 6 people, I think. I think there was like half.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even the size of a local tournament here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they promote it better this year, maybe.
Mhm.
I was disappointed that like Keystone just dropped their Age of Sigmar event entirely.
Yeah.
Which is probably pretty smart at this point, considering that it's in August, so it would have been like less than 2 months after a new edition released. So that would be like a giant clusterfuck of a tournament. Like as it is, like Nova's going to be a disaster.
I feel bad for those people. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I think you're going to have like a couple of people at Nova that are in, shall we say, private brain trust think tank discussion groups.
Yeah, I think so.
That are going to show up with like the most absurdly broken lists that nobody sees coming. And like everybody's going to be like, yay, I get to summon bloodletters with Khorne. And,
Oh yeah, kid, put your head in this bag. I'm going to hit you with an aluminum bat.
yeah. There's going to be ridiculous stuff. You know, the other one that like I saw a little bit of discussion with some folks about today was like how stupid Seraphon summoning can be if you really want to go in that direction.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
They can put like a unit of like 20 Saurus on the table like every turn, I think.
And that's not even counting the Forge World shenanigans.
Yeah. Like,
oh God.
like, some of these armies can do really stupid shit, guys.
They're gonna find out really quick. Well, I mean, I think the Brain Trust is gonna blow that up really quick.
Yeah.
I hope, I pray that we'll blow it up quick enough that they're gonna like FAQ.
Yeah.
FAQ that, please.
Yeah.
FAQ.
I'm at the point where I am honestly like I am encouraging people to break stuff as hard, as fast, and as publicly and loudly as possible so that it gets FAQ'd.
Yeah. I put all like little Skaven tricks I've learned up on like on TJ already. Like this is what I can do, and it's nuts, and you know, dear God.
Yeah, I think command points and like new summoning rules and like free summoning with certain armies, it just like it's like the right thing that solves a deficiency that a certain army already had.
And I think people are worried about the like contagion point, the faint points, and all those points. Worry about Skaven command points. If I could work a battalion into that army or two, I mean, I've already got one battalion in there. If all my engine covens counted as a battalion, imagine that. I would be starting the game with 5 points.
Yep. 15d6 giant rats.
Exactly. Right off the bat. I wouldn't have enough room to put them all in. So AOS coach said, I'm going to go second first. He said, I'm worried about Zinch the most with summoning. You
You are
100% should be. Yeah, you should be. You should be, sir. And we'll go with the Balewind Gaunt Summoner Abuse to spellcasters through the Umbral Spell Portal and then summoning. Oh, that's only the start. That is only the very start. You can go so much further than that, my friend.
I mean, they're gonna have to. They've got to do like. I think they're like Tzeentch is not necessarily like unbeatable, but it's going to be like KO was when KO first came out.
And I think
like either they're going to like table you turn one or they're going to get tabled turn one.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if Brocknar, if they run into a Tzeentch list or any like list that's counting on summoning, bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take them up. The other thing AOS coach was wondering about was hello to Kazakhstan. What were the most attractive and least attractive endless spells for your preferred armies? For me, I played too many armies. I don't know. I think the cogs are awesome. The cogs are awesome.
I think the cogs are going to get FAQ'd.
Yeah, I think they're army-wide. If I'm playing, I'll be honest right now, if I'm whatever army I'm playing, if it's magic focused, I'm playing the game where I'm going to summon an endless spell, do a shitload of shenanigans in between, and then I'm going to dispel my own spell. You know, like let me bring that back. I'm going to cast the portal, shenanigans all in between, and then I'm going to dispel my own portal. That's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the correct answer. I think there's certain endless spells that you don't want your opponent to be able to take advantage of.
Yep.
And like the thing that I think people are forgetting about the cogs is that it's not just your stuff.
It's everybody's. Yep.
It's table wide, everything, every player. And that's going to seriously, like, it's going to screw some people when they don't think about the implications of what the cogs do for your opponent. Like, you know, I mean, if you're playing against dwarves, fine, like extra spells all day. But if for some reason you decide, like, oh, I need movement, your opponent might suddenly get some unexpected levels of hustle.
So here's something funny from Vince that I'm looking up right now. That he says that you can't dispel the portal at the end of a round. It's the start of the hero phase activation.
Huh. Interesting. I think I have. Hold on.
Which I didn't look into.
I actually have the endless spell thing up in another window. Hold on. Unbinding and dispelling. A wizard can attempt to unbind an endless spell when it initially cast as normal. An additional wizard can attempt to dispel an endless spell at the start of each hero phase. Yeah, it's the start of each hero phase, so you cannot pull those shenanigans.
At each of their hero phases.
Yep.
Each of their hero phases. So if it's the last hero I'm activating, it's the start of their hero phase. Still works. Paul went to bed.
I don't know. No, I was reading it. Yeah, I think Vince is correct. I think it's poorly worded. I think it is a beginning of hero phase ability. Because I assume they must have gotten feedback from the playtesters that were like, yeah, you can do this thing and do a whole bunch of shenanigans with wizards and then dispel your own endless spell and your opponent's screwed out of it. Like, that seems like a really obvious thing that the playtesters would have given them feedback on and said, no, don't do this. I mean, honestly, I haven't really gone through all of the endless spells enough.
I don't think so, because read it, the rules as worded.
The rules as worded require your wizard to be taking its own turn to be able to unbind anything. So I don't think that is how it works.
So if you have 6 wizards, right? Think about this way. It's your 6th wizard's activation in the hero phase. So
so there's one of like the dumb granular rules things that they don't actually lay out in the rule book, but it's definitely a thing. Like this is one of those things that would be like deep inside like the codified Magic the Gathering rules that the judges have. That each phase really has 3 subphases.
Oh, the subphases, yeah.
Beginning, phase, and then end of phase. So anything that happens beginning of phase, those things all happen at the same time, and active player gets to order them. Same thing with end of phase abilities. That's why, like, Nurgle can pull some ridiculous shenanigans with the wheel. Like, that's why Grandfather's Blessing, I think the command trait is, that lets you move the wheel up or back one.
Yep.
It lets you double activate things.
Yep.
So, or not double activate, but things that would activate at the beginning of the hero phase and have a one-time effect. You can do 2 of those in one turn with that ability. That's definitely why it's once per game and not like once per turn. Because that is outrageously strong.
Well, there goes that little strategy then.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, like, I am not that excited about predatory spells. For whatever reason, like, that concept doesn't really like tickle my fancy too much. I feel like a spell that just does damage to your opponent is a fairly ordinary thing, and the fact that your opponent might be able to get control of it and kick it back at you is going to make them not that viable for competitive play. What I think is going to be ridiculous is the ones like the cogs and the spell portal and like the things that are just kind of static abilities. Because the other thing to keep in mind is that you have to be within an inch of the spell portal in your hero phase in order to cast a spell through it.
Yep.
So all you have to do to deny your opponent being able to use the spell portal is to not set up the other end within an inch of one of their wizards. So then they don't get to use it on their turn. They get the option to either unbind it or get a wizard next to it. Then you're likely to get the next turn after that. So if it looks like it's going to become a problem that they're going to have access to the spell portal, then you just unbind it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think we're going to have a learning experience with how these endless spells play. I think there is something very telling in that they have overtly said they intentionally undercosted them to encourage people to play with them.
I don't think I really like that.
There's some of them that seem like they're just dumb. Like, there's a couple that are definitely like the 20-point ones are like, yeah, we made an endless spell that's 20 points so that if you have an extra 20 points in your list, you can shove this in instead of getting a triumph.
I think shackles are pretty good. Are they 20 point? I forget off the top of my head.
They might be. They're not bad. Yeah, they're interesting. I feel like every list I try and make with them, I'm like in a position where I feel like I have to make weird sacrifices to try and fit them in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like in a position where I'm like struggling to fit everything I want into a list to begin with.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was thinking for fun, like, how many extra command points do I need? How much fun can I make? You know, making a list with all Vermin Lord Warp Seers. I'll put 4 of them in, and the rest is whatever garbage fits in afterwards.
Yeah.
I'll take all those extra command points.
So here's an interesting thought. What if instead of running like down points to run all the battalions you want, all of the endless spells you want, all of the extra command points you want, what if everybody just started playing 2,500 point armies?
The 500 points would be all
Bullshit
model representative for the most part, except for the spells.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of people experimenting with 2,500 points before this. I think we tried a couple of games with it. It might be interesting because like all of a sudden, like you have all of this extra crap you want to fit in your list.
Yeah.
And you can't. And what's the answer? Just play a bigger game and you still get to play with all the toys you want to, and you don't have to make those awkward sacrifices. You just have the extra room for stuff.
So you just take all the endless spells.
Buy all the command points. Do all the dumb shit.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the lists that people seem to want to run that are stacking like a crazy number of endless spells and battalions and command points and all of that stuff. It's like, you realize you're fielding like no units now, right? Like if somebody comes through with an alpha strike list that one drops, they're just going to be up in your face and table you turn one before you get to do any of your hinky shenanigans.
And I think that answers AOS coach's question right now is I can definitely see a world where we're running very low army costs, aka Nagash, skeletons, and then endless spells and resummoning skeletons with CP. But yeah, you run into my scryer list, it's over. Game's over.
Yep.
First turn.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it. It's interesting. I think we're gonna have an environment for a while of a lot of lists that do really crazy stuff first turn.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to, like, even as AOS coach was saying, and even as I said, like, put 4 Vermin Lord Warp Seers down, see what happens.
Yeah.
And that, that's it. Put 3 units of something like clan rats down. 3 units of 20 clan rats and 4 of those. Use all the command points. Summon a crap load of giant rats. See what happens. You don't have any damage, but you have board control like crazy.
That's true. It is very true. Oh. Yeah. And I think you have to basically make choices. That seems to be the big theme, is that this new edition of Age of Sigmar makes you make hard choices.
Yep.
And part of me wants everybody to cop out and play 2,500 so that you don't have to make those hard choices. And part of me is really curious to see what happens if we all stay at 2,000. And
I think that's a big challenge. That's what I'm looking forward to see. Like, what kind of creative, out of left field list people come up with. I think we've already seen a few of them. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more.
yeah.
The minimalist lists be fun to see.
Yeah. I would just like to issue a complaint on behalf of Khorne. Unless there is some change to how all of his command or his allegiance abilities work, he got like the worst summoning ability because it becomes a choice between summoning or the allegiance ability you already had. So it's either changing or like Khorne got shafted. And I'm okay with Khorne getting shafted on that stuff because my army is like all mortals anyway, so I would have to go buy models to summon things. And I think it's interesting to like be in a position where you have the choice. Like one of the things that I really wish with Contagion was that it was more like the Blood Tithe chart, where like you could summon or do other stuff. Like you had some other options.
You have a choice. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I don't think they've clarified yet, maybe there's an FAQ that I'm not aware of, but like if you have a book that has spells, for example, right? You have a spell lore and you summon a wizard. Does that wizard get a spell out of your spell lore?
I think we've always played it like they do, but that's an interesting point.
Yeah. If anybody knows the answer to that question, that would be splendid.
I'm not sure what I've lost track of what Vince is talking about. He says it did not change, and he has one of the best. You're a crazy person.
What, Khorne? Oh, Khorne having one of the best?
Yeah.
You know what? I've been teetering between do I go to bed or do I throw Vince an invite? And I think
an invite.
Let's see what invite. Because I have nothing better to do than stay up late and drink and talk about Warhammer. I just didn't have to, in the bag state, remember how to send him an invite into the chat. There we go. That's how copy and paste works.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Control C, Control V.
I know, unless you're on a Mac. You have to do some weird command symbol thing. Vince, get your ass in here.
Same thing.
Yeah, I think I need to read through all of the Khorne scrolls again in general. And like all of the Khorne command abilities, and because Khorne is like hardcore hero hammer.
Oh yeah,
max heroes in every list, and it's a matter of which ones do you use. And like, I love that Scar Bloodwrath comes back now, just like the Phoenixes come back now, like they're supposed to. Scar Bloodwrath still 80 points. He is so good for 80 points when he comes back for free on a 4-up. And he's just awesome. He's a cool model. His cool abilities. He's just one of those like Horde Buster units.
Have you looked into Archaon yet? I think everybody's pretty much talked about Archaon.
How they basically said Archaon's getting a new War Scroll, and
yeah, so it's tough to really like gauge what's going to happen with Archaon. I think. No.
Vincenzo, my boy.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? I figured you were waffling between inviting me and going to bed.
Yes. I saw your message and I was like, oh, am I going to bed or are we going to keep this going for another 3 hours?
Yeah. I'm going to get another beer. We're going to be here for a while.
Yep. So if you could clarify your comments, Vince, because we had no idea what you were talking about.
Sure. So let's begin at the beginning, because all this stuff you're getting wrong, I just couldn't take it anymore. Like normally I was just watching to stay quiet and just have some light chat on in the background, enjoying your conversation while I was painting. And then you started getting enough stuff wrong, I couldn't let it stand. So I had to start actually typing. And if I'm typing, I'm not painting, so it's easier to talk.
So I love being wrong. So what are we wrong about?
Well, obviously, you already figured out the end the spell thing with the portal, right? And one thing you're right about, and I do agree with, is there's a definite distinction. It's something I mentioned in like my topic of the week video. There's a definite distinction here between the damage endless spells, the predatory as it were, and the others, right? The utility endless spells that the opponent effectively can't get control of. Like the value of things like the portal, the cogs, the Balewind are so much different in evaluation than the stuff like the jaws and the swords and, you know, whatever. Not that any of those are bad, right? They're fine. Yeah. They're cool, like neat. You know, it gives, maybe not all wizards have a good damaging option in their list, or they're great. Cool. You got a fun damaging option now. Sweet. Because you're just going to take the pendulum probably. Because the pendulum is really easy to make sure you don't get whacked. Like you're just going to set it up on a slight line away from your wizard. Even if I don't know if it can actually go forward and backward, but it doesn't matter. You can easily make a line where it can't come back and whack you because it has to stay on that vertical plane no matter what. And you know, the stuff that concerns me, like, so just Khorne, dude, Khorne's ability is fantastic. Of the summoning, it's maybe one of the better ones. Because the Tzeentch one is powerful, right? Like every spell that is cast, you get points and then you do stuff, but theirs is expensive for what they get. And you have to build for it, right? Like you have to actually, like, I understand Tzeentch lists often have a lot of wizards, but that's not every Tzeentch list. Like I've run plenty of Fatesworn lists that didn't have crap tons of casters everywhere. They had like one or two, right? So I'm not getting anything out of that. The Nurgle list, you have to build hard for the contagion stuff. Otherwise, what you're going to end up getting is like some trees. And, you know, every so often you'll get like, maybe you get a small unit of plague bearers or something. Like I'm saying, if you built nothing for it, right? If you just literally run like stock, you put down a tree, you go, you're not trying to achieve it through board control and crap like that, right? Slanesh's is pretty interesting, but again, like it requires a little bit of building, but it's pretty minor. Because really all you need is heroes doing wounds, which, you know, exalted heralds on exalted chariots and exalted keepers of secrets will tend to do that. Right. I'll also point out that like Archaon is a hoss for Slaanesh summoning because he's a giant pile of wounds who also deals tons of wounds, but he'll slay people accidentally and not get you any depravity points.
Yeah.
So you need to like attack with the Slayer of Kings like last or whatever, so that all the damage goes on and then they die.
Right.
But but Khorne, the advantage of Khorne's is that it requires nothing. It requires nothing. It
requires playing the game.
Right. Like if an enemy shows up with no wizards or low wizards, that natively weakens Tzeentch summoning, right? Because it's less spells for them to cast. If an opponent can snipe out your Slaanesh heroes fast enough, they can stop you from summoning. But like exactly as you said, like just playing the game feeds Khorne. The Khorne consolation prize is incredible. And remember, those summoned units feed the Khorne.
Yes.
Consolation prize. So like you're encouraged to just start spamming crap out there because the more you do, the more you get. Like Khorne can't lose. If I kill your stuff, I get points. If you kill my stuff, I get points. It's the best thing. Like, they have a baller one, and their chart's also actually quite forgiving.
Yeah,
like, it's not that hard.
I looked at the points, like how many tithe points get you what yet. I haven't had a chance to dig into that. I was just like, the thing that disappointed me about Khorne summoning is that it's sharing a resource pool with their existing command ability. And now you're forced. It's like a slight upgrade to the Blood Tithe chart. It's just the Blood Tithe chart has more options now, and you can summon some stuff.
Right. That's what's awesome about it. It's just, yes, you have a doubly expanded Blood Tithe chart, right? Like, it's not bad. It's good. Here's the other key with the summoning and why it's so good for Khorne. So you know how Blood Tithe works, right? Like, if you have 5 points and you want to use the 2-point thing, you dump your clip, right? You're always dumping your clip with Khorne. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Summoning doesn't work exactly like that.
Oh, that does change the math then.
When you summon, you get to choose any number of things that total to the number of Blood Tithe points you currently have. Summon all of them, and then you clear the rest. So, for example, like 5 Bloodletters is like 2 points. Okay? So if you have 6, you can go 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. I'm at 0. Or whatever, whatever you happen to like.
All separate units that give you 3 more points.
Yep.
When they inevitably die.
Yep. You got it. So, like, it's pretty easy to feed the beast. Now, they were smart enough not to put anything on the summon chart for 1.
Yeah.
They did. Ridiculous. Sure, because then it would have self-refunded, right? And just been started this engine. But still, there's plenty of good options at 2. Okay. So, like, I mean, at 2 points, you can summon like the basic Herald or 5 Bloodletters. Cool. Yep. For 3, which is my baller, that 3 is my money shot. 5 Fleshhounds. Booyah! Summoning the re-rolling Dispellers onto the table. I dig them. So, yeah, I mean, Khorne is so baller with their summoning because they will do it incidentally. You do not have to care. You don't have to try. It just happens.
Yeah. And I do have to say, too, like, in having played Khorne enough, there's a lot of instances where I look at my Blood Tithe points and I look at the board state and I'm like, I got nothing to do with this. Like, not going to help me right now.
Yeah, and as somebody mentioned, you can build toward Blood Tithe. I don't disagree. Like, you can run MSU, you can run the prayer. All that's true. My point is you don't have to. And you can still gain a huge amount of value from it, right? Yeah. Like, okay, Tzeentch gains points by spells being cast. Here's a question. What doesn't your opponent want you to do?
Cast spells.
That's exactly right. They're going to seek to stop that, right? But what does your opponent want to do with your units?
Kill them.
That's right. See, your opponent wants to feed Khorne. They don't want to feed Tzeentch. So, I mean, again, I love their summon table. I think it's fantastic. And I like whatever sure, you'll occasionally pull Bloodthirsters out or whatever. All right. I don't know why you would.
You're still table flooding at that point. The 2-point or even the 3 points are better.
Yeah. I mean, what's unfortunate is, at least from what I've seen, there's no way to get Scarbrand. Like, you can't summon Scarbrand.
You cannot. All the 3 basic Bloodthirsters are on the list for 8, but that's it.
Yeah. It's disappointing. It means I just have to run Scarbrand in the base list.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, he needs to be the only one out there. He makes things die nice and fast, including himself. So, that's nice. He's got that going for him.
Yep. He is one of the most fun things to put on the table.
The most probably forgiving chart is Slaanesh. But you got to build for it slightly because you got to pack it with heroes. But that doesn't matter. Heroes are the only good thing in Slaanesh right now, other than like maybe like Daemonettes, I guess. So who cares? You were going to pack it with six. Any Slaanesh army rolling out with like less than, 4, 5, 6 heroes. You're. I would argue you're doing it wrong in the world of Slaanesh demons.
Right.
Uh,
the possibilities with Seraphon.
I mean, Seraphon can go absolutely nuts, right? Like it is insane because they can easily bank an average of like 15 points a turn.
Yeah.
Right. Like on Croak. And that's like one frog, one bearer. That's it. And sure, kill the frog is a good piece of advice, but Croak can be tough to kill for a lot of armies.
Yep. And you can still look out, Sir M.
Theoretically, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yes. I mean, it's not that expensive to keep some jackjawed unit of anything around him, right? It's not like it has to be anything special. 3 anything will protect him. So sure.
Yep.
There's plenty of cheap garbage you can just toss around people in Seraphon. They have overwhelming supplies of, even with their skink upgrade, they still have a bunch of ridiculous cheap garbage because they're a big giant legacy army that more or less remained intact, right?
Yeah. What I think is interesting is they're like the only army that got like the only like legacy army that ever really got a battle tome before there were points. I can't think of another one that did.
Pestilence.
That's true.
But sure. Like, I mean, Seraphon had this luxury that they're such a huge force, right? I mean, it's so big by the standards of how the rest of the factions got split up because none of those other armies had such uniformity, right? Like they could have gone the same direction. They could have split Seraphon into like the Saurus temples and the Skinky temples and like that could be a thing. The same way they broke up,
all the order stuff.
Like, yeah, or worse, like ogres, where you've got like, which by the way, I love that Doom started a like a petition to add that Gutbuster keyword to man-eaters and firebellies. Finally, a movement I can get behind.
Yes, that is absolute. I will sign that petition. Somebody get me a link.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even though I do not own a single ogre model of any type, I'm really disappointed that the Gutbusters don't have allegiance abilities. I feel like they're just like a force that, like, they're about as diverse as like Dispossessed, right? They've got enough stuff. Like they've got enough gas in the engine. Why not just throw them an artifact and command trait chart? Like,
it's a weird thing. Yeah, it's weird that they. Oh, why am I? Paul,
I'm not doing it.
You were doing it anyway.
I was doing it before you got here.
Hey, that's true. Yeah, no, it's a weird thing. Like, why not just throw them a GHB allegiance ability, right? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like why? Like, Devoted of Sigmar would be really easy to write one.
I mean, I'm fine with them not having one. They're not diverse enough. Like, look, yeah. I'm a big proponent of them. I love Devoted, but come on. Either do something with them or don't. They have the guy's name in the title, and you've just done all of nothing with them. So
they got one model.
What?
The Excelsior War Priest.
Yep.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Fair enough. I can't argue with that. Did you happen to watch Hey Whoa Twitch's latest episode?
I watched like half of it.
So you watched his broken list time at the beginning where he was talking about the funniness of if there's no rule of one around command abilities, what can happen?
Yep.
Like Marathi making the unit of Blood Sisters. I thought he was rather reserved. He could have went for 20 Blood Sisters. Because I think, in fact, that's what I would do. The problem with his list, if anything, was that those sisters don't actually threaten the lines turn one. because they only have a 24-inch range. But he could have gone Calibron, where you can scoot people in your hero phase, done a single unit of 20. Marathi can pick up the Blood Sisters, put them forward 8 inches, like literally just lift them and set them down, and now they're all in range, and then she can go fire, 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 and just keep doing it. So that's fun. She got that going for her.
Yeah, I'm wondering what other thing.
Oh, not Marathi, by the way. She doesn't get that command trait, but you know what I mean. Some general.
Yeah.
Slaughter Queen. There you go. She can. Whatever. I'd have to think on it.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of random things that are just really broken that they like missed. That like there hasn't been enough brain power behind looking at all of the scrolls yet.
I don't know. I think that, like I said, I mean, by the way, I just realized I said something wrong because she can't take Calibron, and she's the only one that has the extra shooty. The Slaughter Queen is melee, so I'm just correcting myself. Don't at me. But anyways, you'd have to find a way to scoot him in the hero phase. So, I don't know. Like, in honesty, will there be a bunch of broken stuff? I mean, maybe. Who knows? There'll be some. It'll take a while to unlock, and it'll be a fun journey in doing so.
Yep.
Because there'll be a bunch of... Go ahead.
There's going to be some silly, silly games at Nova, I am sure.
I have all full faith and confidence in Chuck, and Nova's always a good tournament. My particular thought is like, this is the best time. This is a celebration because nobody knows anything.
I absolutely agree with you. This is like kid in a candy shop right now.
Yeah, man.
You're not even in the candy shop yet. You're like standing at the door waiting for it to open, and you know that there's good things inside, but you don't know what's there yet.
Yeah, we don't have all the GHB, but it's fun to look through all the old war scrolls, like the Skaven ones. I just found so many fun little things in them all.
Oh, sure. Like that new Sword of Judgment, the thing that's like if you roll a 6 when you're attacking a hero monster, it does D6 mortal wounds, which I don't think is the best artifact. I think it's about if I was going to rate it, it'd be like number 13. But in the hands of certain characters, it's pretty gross. Heywo Twitch pointed out that the Tenebral Shard can give himself +1 to hit and teleport to within 3 inches of heroes. So he'll just like blow enemy heroes off the table. If you roll that 4 up, he teleports, attacks, kills. Like he'll just murder more or less any non-monster hero when that goes off. Because he'll do an average of 7 mortal wounds before he even does his other attacks.
Because you rated it 13, it's probably good for a Verminlord Deceiver.
I like your math. It is pretty good for a Verminlord Deceiver who can also get close and then use it to good effect and already has a Ren Neg 3 blade, so he doesn't need to worry about the Ren Neg 3 weapon. But also, as shout out to Gary Percival, who pointed out that the Slaanesh Lord on foot, like the old, Mr. What was the name of the guy? I always forget his name, but the old arrogant Slaanesh Lord, the dude with the mirror shield.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but again, like you can't recall the name.
What's that? Sigvald. Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. He has, he's now like the Lord of Slaanesh or whatever, Chaos Lord of Slaanesh, like whatever his name is. He's a generic hero now. He has a built-in +1 bonus to hit on against heroes and monsters. So, and then if you have like the Pleasure Bound Battalion and take the Icon of Excess as your second magic item, he can start whacking people for a D6 mortal wounds on a 4-up, which is pretty fun. You got to walk him into combat, which is less fun, but still, it's cool. The artifacts are the thing that surprised me the least. I don't know if you guys talked about it at all, but like I could pretty much already make the list of like, these are the 8 artifacts that you will use.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's like 1 or 2 out of each realm that are useful.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Aether Quartz Brooch is probably going to see a lot of play in like command point heavy lists.
Paul had a great game of rolling 5+ for every command ability. I don't think he ever failed that roll.
Yeah. And then
good on you. I hate that thing. I think it's hot garbage, but that's personal opinion.
Yeah, and Paul didn't fail a rule, so like that game that we tried out, it was like incredible.
Yep.
50% of the time, it works 100% of the time. Sure, if you're doing that, that is a banner item if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
You are
I mean,
manipulating probability.
It works enough that it's worth it, I think.
Yeah.
The key is that like you need to get the extra command points early in the game. Like if you fail the early rolls and make the late rolls, it's not going to help you much.
Nope.
Sure.
But I feel like in general, like you're going to probably be blowing more command points early in the game, so you're going to be rolling it more, so you'll get more early.
That's fair. I think that I'm
really curious to see what like all of the new artifacts are going to be with all the like allegiance abilities in the GHB.
Yeah, well, clearly they're going to rebalance them, right? Because we've already seen that they changed some of them with the even the core allegiances, right?
Yeah.
Adding in some stuff that's crazy. I was talking about how they should be really careful about making, blanket battle shock immunity, because I think that's dangerous in a world. It opens up for command point spam. So they went ahead and introduced an item to Chaos that's basically gives you the 6-inch battle shock immunity like Order had on an ability.
Yep.
It's not within. I love that.
Yeah, it's not wholly within. Yes, it's
wholly within. Sorry.
No, it's not. Yes, it's just 6 inches. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't rate that amulet very high. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. I rate like the ethereal amulet obviously is like that's maybe number one in the whole thing, probably.
And refresh me on what that one does.
You are ethereal. You may no longer gain bonuses or suffer penalties to your armor save. Equals Star Drake equals you're gonna have a bad time because you're pizzaing when you should have French fried. Like, it's a 3-up rerolling ones perma Star Drake that can't be rended. Hope you can mortal wound him down. Because if he can, he's probably not dying ever. Like, that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
He shrugs most everything that comes at him.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain heroes that's not going to do much of anything for, though.
Oh, sure. The other hot takes, obviously both the Neg 3 Ren swords if you're just trying to manufacture a killer. The Thermal Rider cloak, which is straight up crazy, which is the plus 4 inches and fly. The Griff Feather Charm as an all-around universally good defensive item. Plus 1 move and Neg 1 to be hit, period. Just a generally solid defensive item if you're going to put it on a hero that needs to, operate with more impunity. I'm trying to think of what else is good. Those are the ones that jump off the top of my head. The Thermal Rider cloak is pretty sexy.
Yeah, I like that. That's going to enable some real nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because I'm going to guess it doesn't have a clause that it can't go on something that already has flying.
It does not. No, it's just plus 4 inches and that model flies.
Yeah. So, I mean, you throw it on something that is already a high mover, which likely is flying anyway, but like suddenly you're, I don't know, just as a scroll I can remember off the top of my head, like your Free Guild Griffin is moving 19 inches.
Sure.
Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, to me, it's more interesting it's like there's a lot of interesting things that are a lot of interesting heroes that actually don't fly, but have a relatively interesting move. Yep. You take something like the Keeper of Secrets, for example, who is legendarily very fast, but her downside has always been that she has to walk her slow butt wherever she's going.
Yep.
Now she's super duper stupid fast, and she don't walk no more. I also like the idea of putting it on an Exalted Keeper Chariot, the one that slams into people for mortal wounds, because then you can like fly over other units to charge into the perfect charging position to Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift right into a unit for maximum damage.
Yep.
And that will also make that thing move like 16 inches.
Yeah. You what I really want to do is scour through like all of the war scrolls for all of those random abilities that we all had kind of forgotten about that bring things back or summon things like or come into play with extra stuff that we would have had to pay for before.
Mm-hmm.
All those things that like you would have had to pay reinforcement points for previously that you no longer do.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, look, Ardfist is real, yo.
Yeah.
Ardfist, but even though it's really easy to kill a war chanter,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, throw an artifact on that war chanter that makes him live. Like there's options out there.
The war chanter's never going to get targeted in very many cases because he's going to be somewhere back, hidden away, super protected, like way back in the middle of nowhere. And in your face, turn 1 is going to be Gordorak and 50 Ardboys.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gordorak and 50 immortal Ardboys.
Yeah, there's a Stormcast battalion, I think, that brings stuff back too.
There is.
I'm totally blanking on what it is because
wasn't one of the mega battalions though that did it, or was it a regular one?
If I remember correctly, it was Vanguard Chamber related.
We just talked about this too, and it's on a roll of a 6. It brings them back. We just talked about this before we went live. I totally forgot about it already. It's Heralds of the God King. Sigmar watches the Hammers of Sigmar closely as he entrusts them with the most crucial missions. When a friendly unit of Liberators is destroyed, roll a die. On a 6, Sigmar reinforces his chosen warriors. So you reinforce them. You set them up again at full strength in the Celestial Realm, and you bring them down per the Lightning Strike ability.
Oh, just Liberators? Never mind. Lame.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're running 30 of them.
Vanguard Wing, yeah. You can't take Vanguard Wing in the Hammers of Sigmar Warrior, but Chamber.
Surprise, surprise.
I couldn't be putting anything into that. We're going to play Apocalypse level, but we're not going to give you any rules, and everything's going to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of crazy going on.
There's so much crazy.
I mean, I was noodling on the math of all of like the deep strike abilities earlier, and just like the ones that I could think of that I was like aware of, and I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm not even thinking of.
Yep.
Like all of the things that either deep strike, teleport, set up, summon, come out of grave sites, and then just like
which is why I love the total commitment scenario. Have you seen the total commitment scenario, the new scenario?
No, I haven't.
Well, I can explain it to you like this. It's one of the 6 new scenarios, and it works like this. You may not put anything in reserve. If you put something in reserve, it is slain.
What?
Yep. That's right. It's called total commitment. You set everything up or it dies. End of story.
Is that the ones that I sent to you?
That is one of the new scenarios, brother. And it is my favorite scenario. Its presence in the meta is as impactful as Duality of Death was for armies with low heroes. Think about that. Think about what I just said.
Yeah.
That is now a scenario you could easily run into at a tournament. So if your army is primarily based on keeping a bunch of stuff off board, congratulations, your army doesn't work in that scenario.
Oh, my Scryer list.
Well, I hope you like setting up on the table.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think the good thing is that I can't think of any of those abilities that are not like a May. So they're not like,
they're all Mays. It's just impactful to how you think about your list, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
You don't want to rely too heavily on the deep strike thing being like the thing. But that also doesn't stop like the Lord Aquilor from being ridiculous.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he can still zip around, right? Like, as long as you set him up, he can still toot his way around the board.
Yeah, with bringing another unit with him that's setting up 7 inches away from your opponent, that now he sits up next to them, and as long as you got a command point, they can re-roll their 7-inch charge. Like, that's going to be outrageously good.
I hope that guy sees some play. He's a fun dude.
Yeah, the really interesting thing that I saw at Triumph 2, I ran into an opponent that was using the Aquilor and a unit of Raptors with Hurricane crossbows.
That's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Those Hurricane crossbows are crazy if you get them where you need them.
And those little fuckers just like dropped in and they just nuked the shit out of my Festus on a Balewind.
Yep.
Just like plunk and he's dead.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, they're really good. I think that's the problem with the crossbows and the adjudicators too. Is like you have to get them in range. The Aquilor is the answer.
Yeah. And I think those guys went down to 140 for 3.
The Raptors?
Yeah, the Hurricane Raptors.
I have literally no idea.
Yeah, because they're literally a unit that virtually no one plays. And but if you run like a unit of 6 of those with an Aquilor, like suddenly they're like a little assassination force.
Oh, they're crazy. Yep. Team in action. Not nice.
Yep.
Well, and this is what I'm excited about, really, when it comes right down to it, right? Like, look at all these fun new things to explore. As you said, like, this is a great time.
Yeah. It's time to go revisit every War Scroll.
I have never, ever thought about using the Vermin Lord Warp Seer in my entire Age of Sigmar career. And I saw that War Scroll. I was like, holy shit. There it is.
Yep.
That's how I supplement my nasty-ass Scryer list. It's fun. There's going to be lots of fun stuff that people will find. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to get FAQ'd really fast.
Either that or I'm honestly expecting major War Scroll changes.
Yeah.
And that will take all of the things that seem completely broken, hopefully, and fix them.
Personal opinion, you should probably put that hope to rest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm...
as far as I know, there are no War Scroll changes coming.
What?
Everything that has been changed on a scroll is the stuff that's in the GHB that is answered as part of the, like, you know, sort of, if you've seen those GHB update pages, which I've seen, not all of them, but many of them, where they reference like some FAQs. I believe Tom was correct, and as far as I know, that's the only stuff. There might be a few here or there, but this got asked and answered, and basically it was said that that's it. Everything's in there.
So you don't think they're going to like FAQ things like war machines with crew? You don't think they're
Nope.
to combine the profile?
Nope.
Oh,
I mean, look, I could be wrong, but this is an answer I saw where the person said, you know, like a GW person said, no, all the stuff will be in there. Now, I haven't seen the free people or whatever, you know, page of that FAQ. So who knows? Maybe they pull something wonky, but that would be a heck of a rewrite on a FAQ thing. I don't know how you rewrite a whole scroll like that. Mostly what they've been doing is just swapping abilities and saying, this doesn't have this, this works like this, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
Yep. So then why do you think the Vanguard Wing Battalion went down to 140?
Oh, God.
I don't know. That's not to say they might not change. Who knows? Maybe they will change some battalions. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what I suspect is that with Sacrosanct Chamber, we're getting a new Stormcast book, and it changes in there.
I suspect you're correct. You know, and also this answer was specific to unit war scrolls.
Right.
It wasn't specific to battalion war scrolls, which are, you know, different theoretically. So, but yes, I mean, certainly we're not going to get a Sacrosanct Chamber book. We're going to get a new Stormcast book, right?
Mm-hmm.
They even pulled the old Stormcast book or whatever. So,
Oh, they did.
Yep.
Yep. Well, there goes another $30.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the new battalions are, especially with the new chamber. Be interesting to see.
And yeah, I mean, my personal feeling on the whole crude war machine things is, I mean, you already have a I don't know, what do you want to call it? A two-class system of war machines or something, as you so rightly pointed out, Des. Like, Skaven war machines have already been non-standard crude items for their entire existence.
Yep.
They've always just been better. The Stormcast one will just be better because its crew can't be assassinated off.
Has there been a leaked table of contents for the GHB?
I've seen only the leak of the Allegiance ability list.
Yeah, I thought
Which is the same as the old one.
Effectively, yes. There is some slight differences where stuff got their own book or whatever, but yeah, like in other words, like Nighthaunt aren't in there anymore or whatever, right? Because they have their own book now.
Right.
Everything that didn't get its own book is in there.
not Moon Clan.
There's no new stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is disappointing. That's a missed opportunity to me.
Agreed. Especially since we pulled out some space. Would have been nice to throw a couple of those armies of bones, like the Gutbusters or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm not that worried. They've said pretty openly that 2019 is going to be the year for destruction. So, cool. Everybody gets their time.
Yeah. Everybody gets their day in the sun.
Exactly. This is Nagash's time to shine. We got all put up with ghosts and crap for a little while. Then we bust him up, put him back in his place. Slaanesh busts out, and then the fun begins.
Slaanesh could be a little bit conflicted about busting out. Might kind of like enjoy being tied up in chains for a while.
Well, that was the discussion. Like, I think they had a story happening where Slaanesh, in one of the stories, they had it from Slaanesh's point of view.
Totally into it.
Oh yeah, like Slaanesh was talking about like how she could see the sort of all of the ways that, like, trapped where she was, she could feel Nagash's overwhelming greed and his lust for power and how it was like exhilarating, right? This is like a lust and a hedonism on a level that is, only she, he, her. But at the same time, she was very afraid of the world that Nagash would create because everybody would be dead and there would be no more want. Right? Like, it's Slaanesh's ultimate nightmare is Nagash winning. Because it's a world devoid of desire. So it was a cool story from a sort of Slaaneshi point of view.
Yep. Yeah, I unfortunately have not really been reading all the fluffy stuff.
I mean, that's fine. You don't have to.
I've honestly been barely even reading the leaks.
There's so much stuff to keep up with that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to devote a lot of this weekend to a lot of reading of stuff and a lot of loading content for the channel and the clip.
Well, there's going to be, I mean, look, there's going to be so much to discuss, right? I mean, that's the reality of this. Like, once this actually happens, it's reset time. Like, we're gonna have to do shows on every army we've ever touched ever again. Like, everything is reset.
Yep.
I think like next week's version of this is going to be the most fun ever. Once we actually have all of these books in our hands and have time to And not a lot of time, but a little bit of time to digest all this. Any changes, that's going to be fun.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking forward to next week.
I wonder if we might be able to acquire those books, say at midnight.
I mean, most stores will do that. I know my local store does that.
Yeah, I just don't know if ours stays open that late.
I think we could work something out.
Yeah, we might have to twist an arm and be like, hey, you close at 11.
I'm persuasive. I'm sure we'll try.
You are also very persuasive in the amount of Age of Sigmar product that is sold in that store as a result of you striking up conversations with people. So I think you can make some things happen.
I think so.
My local store is open till midnight all the weekend anyway. So
yeah, I mean, our local shop they're more of like I'm totally losing the word for it. Not boutique exactly. They're more too much alcohol, not enough brain.
That's how I am too. Like 10.5, 3 of these. Oh boy.
Bespoke. It's a little bit more of a bespoke sort of shop. They
make suits.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Armor.
Yeah. The only Magic events they run are Commander.
Oh wow.
Pre-releases.
Okay. That is a different shop.
Yeah, and they made that as like an intentional decision because they didn't want the competitive Magic crowd in the store.
Okay.
It's really weird, Vince, that like when I started gaming down there, we started off as like really competitive, right?
Yep.
Like we were trying to train people how to play highly competitive Age of Sigmar, and it didn't really grow. And then we started again, and we're like, okay, let's do a narrative angle, and it's insane how much it's grown.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah,
it says a lot about the community you promote.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the general environment of the shop. I mean, what's very interesting is that like there's multiple game stores within like half-hour drive of each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have this one that is all of like the Commander crowd for Magic, and like they do like pre-releases and stuff like that too.
Sure.
But they have, they're mainly devoted to tabletop gaming. Then you go down to a different store, and it's like the standard Friday Night Magic. It's where all of the Kings of War players play. That's where like a lot of like the more competitive 40K players play. And then there's like a Games Workshop store that
I don't know what they do there.
Play a lot of 40K and occupy the tables endlessly with like apocalypse games with like 6 people. Because there's only 3 tables in the shop, so they just park themselves.
I went in that shop, I think it was last year, Father's Day, and they were trying to give an Age of Sigmar intro. I'm like, I was like, that's wrong. This is how that works. That's wrong. This is how that. I ended up like taking over the intro, and I kind of felt bad. I'm like, I'm going to Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Play.
Yep.
I love that shop. That area is very nice.
Yes. Yeah. It's a nice spot.
It's nice that we live in an area where we have tons of shops within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not that far away from like Jeff Egan, right?
Right. Yep.
I'm not sure exactly where he's going to Yukon, right?
Yep, Yukon, yeah.
Yeah. So he's like Yukon's like 45 minutes from my house.
I mean, it's Connecticut. It's all just suburbs of suburbs of suburbs.
Yep.
You don't have any real cities. So
Yep, exactly. We have cities that are like they're really all just like the urban sprawl of like New York and Boston.
Yep.
That's what it all
Everything in
is.
between. Yep. It's all a big urban sprawl.
Yeah, basically everything from Boston to Washington D.C. is like one giant city.
It's Mega City 1.
Yep.
yeah, I was in Connecticut on Monday this week.
Fun.
What's that?
Where in Connecticut?
Hartford.
Ah,
You should have contacted us. Would have come hang out.
For the 8 hours I was in town.
Yeah.
I was kind of busy.
yeah,
I flew out directly afterward. I will though. Like I do. I mean, my company's headquarters are there, so one of them. So I'm in there every so often.
Yeah, if you're ever in town, let us know because we live 20 minutes away from Hartford.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually live about 10 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
right by BDL.
If you're ever in the area, well, come hang out.
Absolutely.
I'll buy you a beer, a vape.
And the shop we play at is like one exit up the highway from BDL.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, it's good times. Were you doing anything fun and interesting in Hartford, or are you just
When I'm there? No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's mainly for work, so I'm usually working.
Well, I mean, like, was it for any interesting work purpose or just standard going to meetings and crap?
Just standard meetings and stuff. Yearly type meetings around product initiatives and things.
Good times. Times.
All the mind-blowingly brilliant stuff that is so boring that if I explained what I do, people would fall asleep. But I like it. It's fun. You got to
You're
enjoy what you do.
Yep.
like tangentially related to the insurance industry in some way, right?
Correct. Yes. The product that I manage services the insurance industry.
Interesting. I wonder if I'm actually working at an insurance company now, so I wonder if there are any products that we use that are yours that I can yell at you about things about.
I mean, we
dust
can-
that off.
it's entirely possible. I don't know.
Is it tech-based?
Yeah. It's software.
Yeah, it all ties in. It's funny.
Yeah.
360.
Oh, good times. I mean, I assume if anybody is doing anything insurance related, they end up in Hartford at some point. So
Not really. It's kind of, it's not, we're there because of the legacy of it. Like that's kind of, the Midwest is the home. Like where I live is, probably a bigger city for insurance now than Hartford. I mean, it was the case that was like the place for a long time, but the biggest P&C companies are mostly headquartered in the Midwest.
Right.
I guess our point is you should make more appointments in Hartford so we can meet you out.
Sure. I'll see what I can do. It's not exactly like the most fun place to visit for me to get to. It's kind of a, there's no direct flight, shockingly. So it's, it's a trip.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, that sucks.
I would imagine I know where you live relative to here. And I would imagine that if you can't get a direct flight, you have to get a layover somewhere. It may just be faster to drive.
Door to door to go to Hartford, like literally from if we count like from me walking out of my house to me walking into my hotel. Okay, let's assume something like that. It's usually about 7 hours, which is still like that's getting to the airport early enough, the flights, and so on and so forth, right? So it's still faster than driving, and
not by a lot though.
No, not by a huge number, but it is.
Yeah,
I like driving more, but I don't think my company would justify that expense.
Yeah.
There would be some questions.
What's funny? I had that same issue I had when was at a previous employer. I had training in Cincinnati repeatedly. And for my last trip, I just drove and I did like the cost comparison, and it was actually like cheaper at the mileage rate to drive.
Sure.
So, and it was nice. I was in Cincinnati for 3 weeks and I actually had a car as opposed to the previous trips where I was stranded in my hotel taking taxis places.
Sure. I mean, you know, like I travel a lot. I mean, I travel like I leave Monday morning. Then I have to leave again on Friday. So I mean, I'm on the road quite a bit. So
yeah,
I'm used to it at this point. It's fine. It's
a ramp, man.
What's that? Yes, yeah. That is a great song.
And I must say again, I was very impressed by your obscure early '90s Prodigy reference in your 8-hour show. Like, maybe Vince has some interesting musical interests I might want to dig into here. That wasn't exactly a song that was on the radio anywhere.
Firestarter, dude, that was a great jam. Like, but that was, you know, sure. I mean, look, I was an angry white kid in the 90s. Sure, that's what happened. Everybody was. We were all angry about how terrible everything was when it was actually really great. So, you know.
That is an awesome introspection right there.
If there was ever a grass is always greener, it was the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I saw when they released their second video for, you know, I won't say the word on your channel, but you know, when they had the Smack My video, right? They only played that video once, and it was like at 3 a.m. on MTV, and I caught it when they played it. Yeah, sure. I mean, yes, I listen to everything. So if I put my like music on my phone on shuffle, it's a strange experience. I'll say that.
Yeah, I want to know more about this. Let us know more. Go ahead.
What do you want to know?
I am hitting the I want to know more button right now.
Sure. Would you like to know more? Sure. This is the Music Talk. Welcome to hour 3, where we talk about Vince's musical tastes. It's compelling viewing for your Warhammer viewers.
I mean, we were just talking about the insurance industry 5 minutes ago. So
we already lost anybody. That's a good point. That's a good point. This might as well not be online at this point. No, it's fair.
We still have 8 people watching right now, so I guess it's all good.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So musical taste. Sure. Most everything has some music that I like, and my phone consists of selections across that, and that means like there are genres that are far more terrible than they are good. There are subgenres that I could not stand. You know, like you are not going to find any bro country on my phone. That's an easy example. Like Florida Georgia line, not happening.
My sister-in-law loves them, and I just cannot deal with it.
That's because they're terrible. Like trap EDM is a good example of like pretty much holistically bad music.
I mean, I personally put it in the category of awesomely bad. But you know, I acknowledge its terribleness. It's just a matter of how much you can appreciate it.
I don't have a problem with like EDM as a thing. I have a problem with trap EDM, like Versace, Gucci Gang, whatever, this kind of stuff, right? Where it's like there's maybe a verse, and the chorus is 5 words, and it's just literally that repeated for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't get it. So I'll leave, you know, but yeah, for the most part, any other genre, sure. Like if I were to, okay, here, we'll just do this.
Any Suicide Boys or Slayer in there?
I mean, are you asking me if there is late 80s, early 90s heavy metal that I like? Is that what you're asking me? Like, what are you trying to dig for there?
Well, you talk about your hatred for trap. I love Slayer. So I was digging for Slayer. Do you have any Suicide Boys, which is a little bit of trap?
No.
But good.
So, okay. let's just go. I'm going to roll through this list and just randomly say some stuff here that's in there. So let's see. Top of my list. I just have that in sorted here. So we've got ABC, which is obviously and Poison Arrow, great song. And then AC/DC, Shoot to Thrill. Then we're gonna go right into some Adele. Got some Aha, some Alex Clare. Then we've got John Waite and Alison Krauss. Got a fair amount of Alison Krauss. I do like female country singers. Aloe Black, Alphaville, America. You know, we got some Ariana Grande because why not? She's great. But then we go right to some Asia. So I don't know, Bare Naked Ladies, Berlin, the Black Keys. A lot of Black Keys. Love the Black Keys.
That's good.
Blue Oyster Cult, Blues Traveler, Bobby Darin, Boomtown Rats, Boxing Gandhis, obviously plenty of Springsteen. Brian Ferry has a lot of representation on here. The Cars, Celine Dion, let's see, The Roots, which is a really good band.
Yeah.
Colby Calais, Collective Soul, Coolio, The Counting Crows, Dan Tominski, which is the background singer in Alison Krauss's band, who also does great music. Obviously, plenty of Bowie, Dean Martin, like the entire Rat Pack obviously has representation. Death Cab for Cutie, Digital Underground, DJ Cool, DMX, a lot of early 90s rap, certainly.
Nice.
Don Henley, tons of Duran Duran, Dusty Springfield, Eazy-E, Echo and the Bunnymen, the Eels, Ellie Goulding, Elton John, Erasure and Eminem, Eric B. and Rakim.
Yes.
Feist, A Fine Frenzy, Florence and the Machine. Like, I'm just scanning randoms now. Obviously, plenty of Sinatra because duh. George Thorogood because he's the man. Harry Belafonte, Heart, The Heavy. Hem, Iggy Pop, plenty of Iggy Pop. Imagine Dragons. Iron and Wine, sure, why not? Let's see. James, good stuff there. Janet Jackson, Jars of Clay. Tons of Jay-Z because it's Jay-Z. Tons of Jewel because it's Jewel. Lots of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. John Lee Hooker. Some John Cicada because also the early 90s romantic music, like John Cicada type stuff, that needs to come back. Tony, Joe Public, all of this, that sort of R&B, that needs to come back. That is a absolute shame that that's not there. Certainly Kansas, Kanye, all that sort of stuff. Lana Del Rey, plenty of Zeppelin, Lindsey Sterling, Living Color, LL Cool J, Lorena McKenna, and a ton of like Celtic music. I love Celtic music. M83, crap tons of Madonna, Maren Morris, Mark Ronson, lots of Mark Ronson. Matchbox 20, sure, why not? Like Michael Bublé, great. Bunch of Michael Jackson, bunch of Moby. And keep going. Oh, a big old pile of My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, one of my favorite bands of all time. Natalie Imbruglia, Nathaniel Ratcliffe and the Night Sweats, great dude. 9 Inch Nails, obviously, ton of 9 Inch. Oasis, which is truly my favorite band of all time. Our Lady Peace, Owl City, PM Dawn, whole bunch of that. Pat Benatar, a lot of that. Paul McCartney alone stuff, as well as the Beatles. Paul Abdul and Peter Gabriel and the Pixies and Postal Service and Prince, Public Enemy, Queen, lots of REM, lots of Ray Charles, Regina Spektor. Yeah, we can keep going. You get the idea.
And
is that a wide enough selection for you?
A lot of what you listed off there. Very good.
Yeah.
I only listen to good music, that being the key.
I feel like it's the opinion of everyone.
Sure. And most people are wrong, but that's okay. No, I mean, like, most people just like, I can I don't mind going from a Bobby Darin song, like to listening to Beyond the Sea and then following that up with like something off of the Leather Sex album by My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. Like, that's a sensible transition to me.
And there was like, when you said My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, I was like, freaking awesome.
It's a great band. It is a great band that not enough people know about. Yeah. I like a lot of like early 80s pre 9 Inch Nails Industrial or like post-punk. There's plenty of punk on there too. I like a lot of punk stuff, but I really liked the sort of post-punk industrial phase that happened in like the 80s. There's a lot of really interesting bands doing stuff there, and My Life is really cool because the way that they mixed a lot of like horns. I like horns in general. I think that brass is interesting in a band, and the combination of like weird over-sexualized lyrics and sort of punk / industrial influenced drum machines and stuff like that, and then trumpets. Like that's a great combination. So that's a fun one. But yeah, a lot. So there you go. I like all different types of music. That's the key.
Yeah, you definitely do. Yeah, that's cool. Easy E was in there, one of my favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like an absolute cornucopia of genres.
Yeah. It just keeps going. Like I was scanning down and I was like, yep, it keeps going like that. Like I said, I really do have a lot of like, I'll listen to most any genre as long as I can, there's going to be stuff I can carve out and like. I think there are very few like truly bad, just wholly bad genres of music. So yeah. But there are things I love more than anything else. Obviously, we are all trapped by our 12-year-old selves to some degree, right? There's not much you can do about it.
That is quite true. Yeah, I think my musical taste when I was around that age pretty much ended up defining what I listen to now.
Yeah, I mean, that's most people, right? Like it gets sort of set, and you sort of, that ends up becoming the thing. I mean, one of the things I've very much tried to do is to not let that happen, to always be listening to, trying to find new stuff and explore. I think of a lot of what like Henry Rollins, who's like a very personal hero of mine and who's also
mine too. Yep.
Yeah. And like also does awesome spoken word and everything. Like Rollins is amazing. One of my favorite weird things he's ever done was, did you ever hear his song he did with William Shatner on Shatner's album?
I don't think I've heard that because it's probably William Shatner. So
you should listen to Shatner's album. It's really good. Like it's amazing. No joke. His version of Common People is straight out crazy and wonderful. But anyways, he does like a rant song with Henry Rollins on his album. Check it out. It's worth it. But like, Rollins said like he'll go and do interviews at like radio stations, and people will be trying to get buddy with him, and they'll be like, don't you just hate how nobody makes good music anymore? And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Do you know how much good music is made? Tons of people make good music. You just suck at finding it. Right? Like Rollins famously buys like an album a day. Okay.
It's so awesome. Yeah. And actually, I think I mentioned DePaul. He's one of my heroes too. He's freaking awesome. Yep.
I was actually, I just found a couple of like random videos of him when I was like surfing through YouTube stuff earlier. Random like YouTube channel that I enjoy is called Think Big.
Yeah, sure.
There's interviews on that. Yep.
Yeah. It saw, I think, like 2 of his interviews on there earlier today. And it was like, wow, this guy's a lot more interesting than I realized.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome. Yep. And I think that's something that we talk about personally, like not putting, I don't know if he more puts his thoughts into music rather than politics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think as a young kid, I was probably 12 or 13 when I started listening to Black Flag and Henry Rollins, and he, I think, helped influence me and how I view the world. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was probably about the same age. Yep.
Yep. I think Henry's the best.
Yeah. You know what I really need to rewatch is more recent movie that he did. I think it's called He Never Died. And it was so bizarre, and I I need to watch it again because I couldn't figure out if it was like one of the most incredible movies I've ever seen or it was absolute garbage, and it was like either on one end of the spectrum or the other, and I really couldn't figure out from one watch which end it was on.
Go for watch number 2. I have to watch
it. I just need to be like in the right headspace to watch it because it's really fucked up and dark.
Yep. That's right. Like, if you ever get the chance, like, actually, I'll let you know if he's ever coming through, we have to go see his spoken word stuff because it's just incredible.
Yeah, I know. Everything I've ever seen with him, he's just like a really interesting dude.
Yep, he's awesome.
So yeah, I try to live by that Henry Rollins mentality. Like, there's so many people making good music today. Like, we have better access to good music now than we ever have before because for the most part, like, record companies have been made irrelevant.
Yep.
Right. It's so easy to find different good music now.
It's
awesome. Oh, I love it.
That's honestly what I really enjoy. Like, I use Pandora a lot.
Mm.
It's just like you plug in a few things that you like, and it's just like, okay, here's like 87 other songs that you would likely like based on this thing that you put in, and you just find new stuff constantly, and it's just constantly updated with new things. And yeah, it's
when I was a kid, I used to have to like walk into the local music store and be like, what looks the most interesting, who's got the coolest record cover, and spend all my money on that.
Yeah,
9/10 was garbage.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, and YouTube, I think, right now is a huge resource for that. Because look at, like, even earlier today, the crazy Antwoord stuff I sent you earlier.
Yeah.
Stuff is freaking awesome. I love Antwoord.
Yeah, I need to dig through some of my stuff and send you some things like based on that you might enjoy. Like the weird avant-garde electronic music that's like intentionally bad.
Yep.
I've always had a place in my heart for that stuff. And like I was not aware of them until you introduced me to them, and now I'm like, I would like to know more.
Yep. Vince, have you ever heard of them?
Who is it?
Antwoord?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. It's one of those, like, the videos you're going to watch that is going to blow your mind the first time you watch it, and you won't be able to help yourself to see more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all very strange. Like, it's like in like a lot of it's like in the EDM sort of style genre.
Okay.
And stuff that is they're like trying to emulate like the early 90s sound a lot.
Yep.
But they're doing it with like modern equipment and better techniques, and doing it like digital versus the analog that was being done then. So like it definitely has a unique and different sound to it from that. But
okay.
Yeah, it's just I can't even really think of other good examples. Like, reminds me a little bit of like Felix the House Cat and some of like Basement Jaxx, and
videos are totally like avant-garde.
Yeah, Green Velvet and Cashmere, kind of like just names coming to mind of like similar electronic artists, like in the similar, like, I don't know, similar, like you can tell they're doing something that it's to an untrained ear, it sounds like they're just throwing garbage together, but when you understand what they're doing, you understand they put a lot more time and effort into it than that.
Yep.
It's like intentionally sounding bad, and it's really hard to describe.
But really good.
Yeah, Yeah, like, at the same time, really good, like, and really bizarre lyrics that, like, the lyrics to me, like, are similar to, like, a lot of, like, the 90s grunge sort of lyrics, where, like, the whole thing just is, like, this bizarre, like, coded message.
And they're South African.
Yes.
So then you got the South African lingo, like, mixed in with, yeah, it's just crazy.
Oh, you know who they are? Did you ever see the movie Chappie?
Oh yeah, sure. They are. Yeah.
Yeah, that they were, like, that whole band was, like, the main.
Oh, okay, yeah, them. I know who you are. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
I've never really listened to their stuff, but I mean, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Yep. Just imagine all of that in music form. And
gotcha.
Suddenly it all makes sense.
I was excited when I found out they were even doing that movie, Chappie. Good stuff.
That movie was so much different than I thought it was going to be when, like, from the previews, and it was so much better than the previews led me to believe.
I learned today that they had to keep the word out of the previews or any promotional material because they dissed Drake.
That's interesting.
Isn't that funny how they, like, the little politics of things, and they were like, oh my God. I put one Instagram photo up making fun of Drake, and they keep me out of all the promotional material for the movie. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't know. All of this crap is really weird.
Yep. Vince, what are you painting there?
A robot.
A robot?
Robot?
Robots.
Is it going to kill all humans?
No, it's one of these robots. It's a little robot.
Not a kill all humans robot.
No, this is the Helverin or whatever. I don't know. The smaller one with the guns as opposed to the chainsaw and the flamethrower. But I gave him a little skull face. He's got a little angry skull face instead of his normal dumb head.
Very nice.
Because I like angry skull faces. So, like, the body and all that is mostly done except for the feet. Like, this is all what I worked on last night. So it's all, like, I truly love doing these robots. They are so cathartic because it's you work in this, like, everything about these robots are unbelievably rewarding if you like working in spending time and doing a lot of different techniques, because you start with just your zenithal and then you move to, like, your zenithal with your airbrush with your steel colors, and then you get out the oil paints and do a good oil wash. And then you get to clean that up. You let that dry. Then you start doing targeted oil paint application to get, like, grit and grime into particular places. And you let that dry. And you start picking out individual details. And you start edge highlighting. You can just work back and forth in so many different techniques. It's awesome. I love robots.
Yes.
And so what I'm working on now is his carapace, because you always leave, like, I leave the armor off separate. The armor sits on, this isn't going to show, but the armor sits on a little, like, piece of paper like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's all laid out like it is on him. Like, I lay it out, you understand what I'm saying? Like, on the piece of paper, like shoulders, centerpiece, so on and so forth. So that way I can always see, like, as I'm painting it, what is it color balanced, what belongs where, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just working on the freehand for it.
So you just painting your robots to paint them? Have you been playing much 40K at all?
A little bit here and there.
That's cool.
But no, I'm slowly getting my robot force together. I mean, I paint the robots for competition more than anything. But then if I paint enough robots for competition, I'll just have a robot army. So there you go.
There you go. I love it. I know I haven't been painting, like, any 40K stuff at all. It's all been Age of Sigmar, but I'm kind of excited about the Orc Codex because that's my go-to army.
For what now?
For 40K orcs.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
I have a friend who's very excited about that. Yes, who has a big 40K orc army. Like, the problem with me is I'm just waiting. Like, I used my demons. I have 2 different demon armies I use because, that's easy. I can just port them over. But I'm waiting. My army's finally coming. So Working on my robots until then.
Yep.
And then comes the day we have waited for so long.
Squats?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, squats.
It'd be really funny if they actually just like sneak in and say, "Oh, here's a squat release before your sisters."
I don't care. I would. Good. I'm sure a bunch of people would be very happy about that. I don't care.
I would get in a shitload of trouble.
What I think would be awesome is if they just decided to take the Caradron Overlords and write 40K rules for them and just make
and just call them squats. Yeah, sure.
Because they aesthetically, there's really nothing distinctly fantasy about them, other than being kind of steampunky.
Yep.
But they look very like if you put them in the right paint scheme, they would definitely fit into 40K. I think.
I would not have to double purchase. I would like that. I'd be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is I don't care. We're getting our army. Yep. I've waited so long. Do you think any like little amount of time? I don't care. I hope other people get their armies. I don't want anybody. Okay. When I was very young, like one of the first jobs I had that wasn't working for my family was working for. I worked cart crew at a place called the Andersons. Okay, which is like a local sort of catch-all kind of, I don't know, more farmer style Target, I guess, if you want to think about it like that. Okay. And so I worked car crew, and car crew basically meant I was a janitor, but I also had to go out in the summer and like collect carts from the parking lot. Okay. So now for the whole rest of my life, I'm very careful about, I always put my carts away. I always make sure that the thing is like nicely stacked and all that, because nobody ever did that. Right. Like everybody always, it was a mess. It was really annoying. I don't want to be that person that I hated. At the same way, I don't want anybody else to have to live through what the Sisters players have went through. You know what I mean? Like, get your army. Everybody get your army. I want everybody to have their toys.
Yep.
I don't begrudge anyone else their toys.
Yep.
Everybody get your toys. You get your toys, and you get your toys, and you get your toys. Everybody gets their toys.
Yeah. And we are just in like this orgy of everybody getting their toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I can't imagine GW has ever released new stuff at the pace they're currently releasing it.
Oh God, not even close. Not even close. And Vince knows too. He's been around for a while. Not even close.
Correct. Like in the most recent tabletop history video I did, I showed the like release book thing for, I don't know, 6th or 7th edition or whatever. And it's amazing how many of those books, that was a completely new edition. Keep in mind, everything old got invalidated, right? It was a changeover. The change from 5th to 6th was as ground shaking as the change from, like, say, 8th to Age of Sigmar, in that every old army, your book was gone. That was it. Like, everything started over from zero, new rules. And, I mean, in the first 2.5 years, they put out 6, maybe 7 books. So they had half the armies covered.
That was insane. In 6 or 7 years.
In 2.5 years, you had 6 or 7.
Sorry.
Yeah. So like you had maybe less than half the forces covered in the first 2.5 years of the edition.
Like a book every 3 months.
Yeah, not even that. Like it was. I mean, and the spacing is incredible, because they would do like, they had kind of 1 or 2 early. Then there's like a 3-month period. And then there's 1 and 4 month and 1. And there'd be 1 more at the end of the year. And then another 5 months. It just, it was really just sort of like, well, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about doing a similar sort of thing, just going over all of the Age of Sigmar releases and all of the changes that have happened since the initial launch.
Mm-hmm.
Because it almost feels like yes, we're launching 2nd edition now. But it feels like we had like Age of Sigmar 1 then like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, then 2.
Sure. I mean, there were obviously some really big changes, right? Like the General's Handbook represented, a really big change in the game. Complete game changer.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then GHB 17 adding all of those allegiance abilities for all of the armies that hadn't gotten books.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it was just an incredible amount of stuff. And like how many armies that were not getting played prior to GHB 2017 became like really competitive, frequently seen on the table. Like they went from being on the shelf or being in the box on the shelf at the store to being on the tabletop all the time.
Fire Slayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start collecting. Yep.
Those Fire Slayers players were very happy, yes.
Yeah. I wonder how happy they'll be after the new book.
I mean, it's not that much changing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I think the thing that could potentially hurt them the most is if their allegiance abilities get dialed back.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm worried about.
True. That is very true.
Yeah, I haven't really been keeping up with releases as much as I should have been lately. It's probably a good thing too, because I didn't read the Deepkin very much. I didn't really get that good of a feel for what the army did.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played against it, and I was like, "Oh my god, maybe I need to buy this army." Yeah, I don't know. It is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these, they're just doing a great job of making interesting, compelling books.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the trend seems to be that like the new books, like starting with, I think Nurgle, was the first one that had like all of the new branding on it, right?
Yep.
First.
Let's say yes, because it came before Legions, right? Yeah, it did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Nurgle was the new one. Yep, the first one. Yep.
Yeah, it feels like all of the books since then have all been really well balanced, like not really ridiculous, out of control. Like they seem like the points were reasonable. It seems like they've found a better design space to work in with where they're going, and I'm wondering if they're going to be applying that to the new GHB.
Well, sure. I mean, a lot of that's playtesters.
Yeah, and thank God for playtesters.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been, the guys and gals have been putting in some hard work, and it shows. Like that's really the real line of that.
Yeah,
and they also started up a 2-cycle review with the playtesters, I believe, for this most recent books.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I think you can see. I always use the parallels like to Magic and what like the history of Magic was like, and when it went from being, like Alpha Beta Unlimited was basically almost exclusively designed by like Richard Garfield and play tested by a small group who was friends with him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the difference between that and like what they release now, that they have like a full team of people that like R&D and play testers, and they, pull in the guys from like the D&D department to get in games on their lunch break to play test and get other heads into it. Like,
yep.
The difference in like game balance and things like that. Like, I know I've heard like they've had like some like standard format bannings recently.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like every once in a while you're going to have a hiccup in a bump in the road. Like, it's going to happen. Something's going to slip through. Like, you can't push out the number of cards that they do without screwing up once in a while.
Yeah, that's always has been their big challenge.
Yeah. God, I wonder how many unique cards they're actually up to at this point.
I believe it's something like 20,000.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got that would be the number that I would guesstimate, because it's like, I mean, I think they're averaging somewhere around 1,000 new cards a year.
Yeah, somebody threw the number at me recently, but I literally don't remember it now.
Yeah, it's just.
I seem to remember being something near there.
And what's amazing is that they do that, and how often does like a new card that they release get like totally bent in like vintage?
I mean, not often, but that's because the power level of stuff in vintage is so ridiculous. It's hard to, it's just hard to move that meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's a meta made up almost entirely of cards that are 10 years old or more. The comparisons to Magic always are interesting to me, though, because it seems like that's a company that, they're another games company, so there's a lot of parallels between games in general, and the whole process of making them and developing, and I feel like that in a lot of ways, I think Games Workshop would be very wise to look closely at Wizards of the Coast, what they've done, and see what they can apply that has worked well to their own system.
Sure. I mean, I will say that it goes both ways to some degree. Like, Mike Merles, who's a great dude, recently talked about how like he was tweeting out and praising the team for like a launch that he thought was absolutely incredible. And he said, look, if we ever updated D&D again, this is exactly how we would do the launch, exactly how they've done AOS 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to at some point.
Oh, I mean, in general, these things get updated eventually, but he's pretty clear on the fact that it's not like an anytime soon kind of thing, because there's no need to. Everybody loves it. There's no large scale problems right now, and the game's the healthiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
D&D has been bringing in more players, more diverse groups. It's in a fantastic place, and I really do credit that a lot to Mike and to Jeremy Crawford and to just very wise leadership. A lot of this stuff is top down. It's, if you've got a good company that has a good sort of set of initiatives around it and good direction, and I think the same thing can be said for GW right now. Like the people at the top are, generally doing a pretty good job leading it. Yeah. We're lucky to have them.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that they had a number of books that they released, like 6 months or so leading up to the release of the new edition. All of the books that they released leading up to that were designed with the new edition baked into them.
Sure. Which is good. Again, like, let's not mess anybody over, right? They were trying their best to make sure that for the most part, people got kept whole. They were doing the smart thing and developing it in line, it's good.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that like Nurgle got no points changes to units, couple of minor points changes to battalions, and like it was like doing well in GTs, within the last 6 months. And now it seems like it's designed for 2nd edition, and it's going to only get better with those rules.
Mm-hmm.
And like Nagash seems like Legions of Nagash seems like the same way. Daughters of Cain and Ideneth, I'm not familiar enough with to really speak to them, but
the daughters will be just fine.
Oh yeah, they seem like they would be fine. And the Deepkin seem like they're the one that is like the most heavily designed toward the new edition in general.
Sure.
And they're also like a whole new thing.
Right. Sure. I think they're one of their most well-balanced, truly like well-balanced factions they've put out.
Yes. They definitely seem that way.
Which is funny too, considering they have what everybody initially assumed was just one of the most bent rules in the world, right? Like this, they have this like you can't target, you can only shoot like the nearest guy, right? They have this rule. Everybody lost their freaking minds and was like, "OMG, end of the world!"
Around that, stop. Yeah.
Whatever, just play like Khorne or Nurgle or Iron Jaws, and don't worry about the shooting phase. It's for somebody else.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, sure, that's gonna be not a thing, but all right. And like it's just a perfectly good ability because they're a very expensive army.
Yep.
And you know, they pay for that ability, that's for darn sure.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of cool options. They're a finesse army that you got to play very smartly to do well with. You can't just sort of push them forward and hope for the best. Even your all-in eel strategy doesn't really work if you just go like, bonkers.
Yep.
You really got to think through your board position and stuff like that. It's great. That's how armies should be designed.
Yeah.
You know, like with a dedicated sort of way that they play. I'm not saying every army should be a finesse army. I'm saying that like every army should have a clear vision of how it operates on the board. Like Iron Jaws don't have a finesse style. They have a sock you in the face style. And thank God for it.
Yeah.
Beautiful green bastards.
Yeah. I feel like the Stormcaster are like have the ability to be that thing, but the popular lists are very beat you over the head because that's like the easy button for Stormcast.
Yeah.
Like, Guard Wing is just the easy button. And
I mean, a lot of, I think that's hurt Stormcast, right? I agree. Like part of the challenge with them has been certain lists have been overshadowed in the meta that are actually really good with them just because they had this, like, they've had these few bent lists that have come up and sort of taken all the precedent, right?
Yeah. If you're going to run Stormcast at a big event and you're not running Vanguard Wing, you better have a damn good plan in mind.
Sure. Well, and as we have seen, there are plenty of people who do have good plans and have done very well with them.
Yes.
So, like, clearly it is entirely possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that I really love that list that took CanCon.
Sure.
That's the kind of Stormcast list that I want to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled with like anything that stacks neg 1 to hit. Just in
general. That's what I was just gonna say too. Like I am so torn about like Plague Touched.
Yep. I saw your conversation on it, like the video you did where you were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I completely get it, man, because it isn't fun to play against. It's just not.
Yeah, it's not fun to play against. And the thing is that like if you want to run, like I feel like Nurgle really wants to go first. And if you're not running a list that can like get down to 2 drops efficiently, then you're probably not going to, or at least you're really gambling. And Plague Touched is like the only battalion that can really do that and still be a good list.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Plague Touch so very much because it's exactly what you said. I think you comment on it or somebody else comment. Like, there's been a lot of discussion around it. And like, I'm trying to think of where I saw this discussion, but there's a real difference between lists that like, I'm going to do my thing and you still get to do your thing. And lists that are like, if I do my thing, you don't get to do your thing at all.
Yep.
And Plague Touched is definitely the former, right? The latter, sorry. Where it's like, if they do what they want, you get to do nothing. Yay. Oh, this is fun. Right? It's the worst. because you just feel like you shouldn't have even played your army. Like you get beat off the table with like, you know, some powerhouse list that just walks up and smashes you. At least you probably got to swing back a few times, right?
Yeah.
You felt like you were putting up a fight. You just lost the fight. With those lists, I don't even know that you really feel like you're fighting. It's like, I guess we're just rolling dice for nothing here. Cool.
Yep. And I mean, I think the best example was like my round one opponent playing Legions of Nagash, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna come in and I'm going to smash you with my Blight Kings. Okay, I'm gonna roll the hit, and then I gotta roll for my exploding hits, and then roll the wound, and then you're gonna roll the save, and then you're gonna roll for your deathless minions. Then you're gonna attack me back, and you're -1 to hit, so you have to recalculate your hits. And then you roll the wound, and then I roll my saves, and then I roll for my saves for my Harbinger. It's like everything just involved like this like extra layer of rolling dice, like at least one extra layer of rolling dice, and it made the game take forever. It was awful, and that had nothing to do with like the opponent. Like opponent,
right? Nobody was slow playing.
Yeah, nobody was slow playing. Nobody was having a bad time. It was a really good game. It was really tight. It was intense. But we just we were at like bottom of round 3 when time got called. And it was just from 2 lists that roll an enormous amount of dice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just there is that is a real like design challenge of the game, is that it simply doesn't like it when you make it roll that many dice. Like the game the game experience kind of breaks down, right? Because it's not like there is a physical act there.
Yeah, and I think the one advantage to like the Plague Touch list is that it tends to, I mean, if you go like Blight King and Chaos Warrior heavy, like go in either of those 2 directions, like if you're not just running like a crap load of Marauders,
right?
You have a relatively low model count on the table. If you're going all Blight Kings, you have a very low model count on the table. So at least you're not doing all of the tedium of moving 25mm base guys.
Right. No, I play like one of my normal opponents runs like Nurgle, and so often he runs a bunch of different lists, and we play it's a little more funsy. But like, so I'll be staring down, like he brings tons of Blight Kings or tons of Puskoils, and like he loves using Glocken and just stuff like that. It's, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm very used to the power of the Blight Kings and what they can do.
Yeah, they are I am really surprised at their points cost, and I'm surprised that they did not get changed in GHB 18.
I think they're priced appropriately for that army. That would be my argument. I don't think it's wrong for that force. Like, this is an important thing I think we often don't think about. Like, when we make comparisons, we go like, oh, well, this thing in this army is this much. How come I have to pay this much? Because points aren't done in a vacuum. It's not.
Yeah, this is why the army.
Right. It's about what else do you have access to? What synergies are there? Like, you cannot. Points shouldn't be evaluated in a vacuum of like, well, this much to hit, and this much is this, and this is worth this. No. It's about what the larger force is capable of. That's how you have to evaluate this stuff.
Yeah, and I think for Nurgle, part of the equation is just how much you want to sink into your heroes and monsters.
Which you don't have a lot of the best of. You have some good ones.
Yep.
But, like, admittedly, a lot of your heroes are kind of underwhelming as Nurgle.
Yeah. Like, the Lord of Afflictions is definitely, like, he's a Rustfang delivery system.
Right. Like, take the Rustfang out of the equation. Is that guy a go-to, really?
Nope, never.
You know, and so many Nurgle heroes fall into that sort of trap. Like, they really do.
Yeah, Lord of Blights is terrible.
I agree. He's just hot garbage. Like everybody loves the Harbinger, and I get that for obvious reasons because he has this little ward save. Like, okay,
Overrated.
I mean,
I find myself keep shoving him into lists, but I think that ability is overrated.
I think he is good because there aren't any better options. I think in most other armies, he would be a pretty like okay hero.
Yeah, I need to explore some other options. I think the issue, interestingly enough, that I ran into, with our one test game, second edition, was I very quickly ran out of things to do with my command points.
That's shocking.
And part of it was that like my heroes were dying, but it was like I had I had nothing to do. Like Gut Rot Spume doesn't have a command ability. He can use the 3 generics, but once you're in combat, you don't need to run or charge anymore, and Battle Shock's not a thing for Nurgle. So,
well, not a Blight King army, at least, certainly.
Yeah, not a Blight King army. And even a Demon army, they're all Bravery 10. You gotta lose a lot of those dudes before anything bad happens.
Sure. It is rather difficult to cause enough damage to a Plague Bearer unit to make it start testing. It's doable. It's just not likely.
Yeah.
I was happy to see the daughters rip through Nurgle on the stream this week.
Yeah.
That was good. Take that. No offense to Ben, but to Mr. Johnson, who played a good game, but I was happy to see the girls, Mr. Curry showing him what's up.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I think kick out for now. I'll catch you all later.
Yeah, I think I need to go to bed too.
It feels like time to call it.
Yeah, it's 3
Hey, thanks for bringing me in, buddy. I appreciate it, by the way.
Anytime. Anytime, sir. You're always welcome. All right, kids. Time to close it down. Thanks for everything. This actually may be our final Warhammered before the new new channel launch.
I'm sure I'll have a lot to talk about next weekend.
Oh, yeah. Until then, we will see you all later.
Yeah, good night, all.